3, 2,
I
1.
made sure to take my Viagra. I mean,
You know what? Not even gonna hard open. That's how we're opening. All right,
Yep,
cool.
works.
Welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion and Discourse. I am your host, as always, Alejo, aka Grade on 95.
ostensibly passing it over to me,
Mm-hmm.
second host for this and, in fact, most other evenings. Your secondary host, Aiden, aka ItsSneakyAdolf.
Boo. Third host. That's it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
That's all we need.
Feel,
As
God damn
usual.
it.
feel that energy.
Yeah.
Big
Yep.
energy.
Big dick energy all over, man.
I mean, no, what? No?
What?
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 You said it.
What?
I'm
yeah.
just here to sip tea and lord my sense of superiority over others.
Mm-hmm. Well, today we're gonna have a nice evening. It's gonna be a nice evening. We're not gonna get angry, probably.
Hopefully.
I don't think. I don't remember, honestly.
Challenge.
I don't remember honestly about these videos, but as far as I remember, they're pretty good. And they
then
have
if they're not good, cut off their hands.
right. Yes, all hands must be cut. If things are bad. But yes,
Especially if they cheat at dice.
we're.
They're the scum of humanity if they do.
It's true.
Yeah.
We've learned. I mean,
And we are very fearful of bad videos.
I would rather someone throw my grandmother down 2 flights of stairs into a pit of corona-infected needles than they cheat at dice at my table.
exactly, dude.
Well, I mean, hey, at least if they do, you get your inheritance money, maybe.
Mhm. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be covering XP to level 3, which is a well-known D&D channel that you should totally actually go subscribe to without us even showing their stuff. They're actually really good for the most part. They've only been recently putting out things that I've begun to question.
Yeah, I don't always agree with XP to level 3's content.
No.
But, like, generally, I would say out of 100, a solid 85.
Absolutely. Entertaining, at the very
Yes,
least.
very, very entertaining,
Mhm.
and it will help you remember stuff because of it.
Yes, agreed. And then afterwards, we're going to be checking out some of RuneSmith, who he used to be, in fact, a part of XP to level 3, but now he's got his own channel, and he's doing his own stuff, and he is also very good.
In fact, he's in the thumbnail of the XP to level 3 video that we'll be viewing.
It's true.
And oddly enough, when I saw the 2 videos that we'd be looking at, I thought that the RuneSmith one was XP to level 3 because it has the same font and the same dragon that they always use. And then when I looked up and saw RuneSmith, I was like, oh yeah. And then I saw that the upload names were swapped.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
funny.
yes, yeah, it's hopefully going to be a nice time. Is everyone in the watch together? No. Boo.
No.
I am.
think. Oh.
Yeah. I was ready this time.
Wow. All right. Hey. I should now memorize both of your users that you don't have as other than user whatever.
Yeah, can I change that?
Yeah, I made my own account. That's how I did it.
I can do a nickname, apparently.
There you go.
There.
Hey, cool. But yeah. Yep.
A dolphin.
A dolphin. All right. Nice. So, let us begin here with XP to level 3's D&D tips, when to say no. Oh, one more thing before we begin. Thank you very much for taking a chance to listen to us again. For those of you out there who are new, hello. We have this on every podcast thing that you can see on your screen, as well as, if you can't, just search up TableTalk, Discussion and Discourse. You'll probably find us. and you can listen to us and then tell us that we're assholes or something. I don't know.
One would dare say if they're listening to us now, then they have probably already found us.
Exactly. Well, you never know if they're on YouTube itself right now, and then they're looking for something else, right? Because I know there's some people that actually would rather listen to something than watch it. But if you're listening, hey, you can come watch on the YouTube channel and actually see the videos that we're doing here.
It is also possible that one of our veritable legions of fans is listening to this like on a speaker in an enclosed space, such as an elevator or perhaps subway.
Yes.
And the people who are also in, the
proximity.
Yeah, proximity. You could say that. I was gonna say the train car, and then I realized I don't know what the word is for elevator. Or what that would be.
I think it's also a car. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And I have no desire to learn.
However,
hello, kind strangers. Kindly give the person who is not having the common etiquette to listen to this with headphones, give them a mean look for me, but also
really
thank them for giving you the opportunity to find your new favorite podcast.
Exactly.
Oh, this is taking so long.
Wow. All right. Okay. Let's get into it. All right. Feeling the impatience.
Yep.
Here we go. So this is D&D tips. When to say no.
Yes.
Thank you, XP to level 3.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and then I'll attack that guy.
Nice idea. I'll flank around him.
Okay. Oh no. Yeah, no, I'm gonna cast a giant fireball because I get it from my special class that I got online from the wiki. I'm gonna kill everyone. Everyone's gonna die because of my character mod, and I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill everybody, I'm gonna kill your whole game. And so I'm gonna kill this fat guy, and I'm gonna kill this tall guy, and all of you are gonna die. And I hate everything that you all do because you're all stupid, and I hate everything that you're doing because you're super dumb. Then everything dies, and I nuke everything.
Wait. Wait. Hold on.
Then
See that? You see what I'm seeing right here?
Is that a dice tower I see?
Looks like someone's a dice tosser.
Wait, where? I don't see one. Hang on, wait. Oh, whoops!
In front of the,
because like when you pause the video, the more videos things pops up.
Oh, okay.
And that perfectly blocked it.
Yeah,
my bad.
it's true.
Dice tosser, cut her hands off.
Tosser.
Yep, cut her hands off.
One thing I gotta say though, as just a general thing, is like I fucking hate the use of that violin every time now.
Oh yeah,
like it's so overused for horror, right?
Yeah.
Or bad thing, right?
Yeah.
I do really like the use of tinnitus.
Oh yeah, the use of tinnitus is always nice to see. It hurts, but it's also nice.
everything dies, and I nuke everything.
Dice tosser.
Dice tosser. Cut off his hands.
You don't have to roll for a fireball.
He does.
I thought we already established.
Don't you know? Yeah, don't you know? Stranger Things also established this. You need at least a 13.
Yeah, you need
right?
13 to kill them.
You need at least a 13. Just reminded Aiden of bad things.
Honestly, I think him rolling it
I
was
wasn't
part of the
gonna
joke.
be angry
Oh yeah,
tonight,
absolutely.
Alejo. You promised me I wasn't gonna be angry tonight. Why did you lie?
Because Stranger Things will always make you angry, just like it makes me angry every day.
No, you get way angrier than I do.
I do get way angry. You're right, and it's mostly because of the show itself and not the D&D aspects. But
Yeah.
anyway,
What's a character arc?
Oh my god, I forgot he had an intro for a while. This is that far back.
Jeez.
Wow. Yeah, okay, sorry. Had like intro stuff.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to
I read that wrong.
D&D Tips with me by Osmium. Yum, 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 yum.
Oh my god,
When
shut up.
it said tips with Bios, I thought it said tips with boys.
I actually
did too.
also
I
did.
did too.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Biosium. That's man, this is so far back. Holy shit. Okay.
People
yes.
ask me, gee, why is your name Bios? I say, haha, that's a good question. Today we're talking about when to say no for Dungeon Masters. As in, no, you can't go and kill the king for the sake of character bond. No, you can't go murdering every NPC in this village just because you have a vengeance against the color of their grass because that's somehow a character bond. And no, you can't be on your phone talking about Overwatch right now, you tootin' mean-aged needle teetle. Oh, but Bios, you've said that saying no is a bad thing. Why are you now telling me that I should start saying no as a DM? What are you, a big fat liar on the internet?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
This clip
No.
every time.
You see,
Oh my god.
DMing is an art. DMing is very fun. Running a game for your friends to enjoy and role-playing characters, it's enjoyable. DMing is tough though. There's writing an adventure, running the game, diffusing arguments, calculating math, judging encounters, prepping everything, initiative, HP, XP, NPCs, their voices, lines and mannerisms, the dungeon, its enemies, walls, encounters, spells, monster attacks, CRs, story, engagement, character motivation, and making that when you leave to poop that nobody looks behind the screen.
Okay. Whoa. A lot of things. First off.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, I mean, we've already gone over beforehand. You don't need to worry about the voices thing specifically. And their mannerisms and stuff. You don't have to worry about that, remember. It's nice, it's good to like take into account, absolutely. And if you do, that's more power to you. But it's not
Just know that if you don't, then creatively you are a hack.
Yeah. Exactly. Second point. Second point, of course, is behind the screen. If you're leaving stuff behind the screen and you're feeling like your players are like going to go and look at it, that's fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
like you don't like. First off, your players. I mean, you don't trust them enough to not look behind the screen. Secondly, you have players that will look behind the screen. That's fucked up.
I
That's-
feel like a lot of these people, like I've noticed this
Mhm.
as as we get deeper and deeper into these different content creators.
Mhm.
It seems like none of them trust their players, or they've had just really shit players in
I
the
think-
past.
I think it's just them sort of, going along with the joke.
I think
Yeah.
I think for this case
Yeah.
especially, it's going along with the joke of like,
I sure
my
hope
players
so.
are fucking garbage, right? I
Yeah.
will say probably with more certainty this time than in any other time that this is more the joke,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
But regardless, yeah,
It still comes up a lot though.
it
I-
does. It really
yeah.
does. It's
I've-
worrying.
I'd be lying if I said that if I left in the middle of the session, that there isn't like some little pang of like anxiety gnawing away, and like it's like one of my little mind goblins
Mhm.
that it's like it may happen, it could happen. But as time has gone on with my players and they've earned my trust, it's definitely a lot less prevalent. Plus, I have told all of my characters since like even before session 0, if you ever look in my black book of secrets, your character's dead. Just
Mm.
dead.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's as long as you set the boundaries and stuff, you should
Mhm.
be fine.
Yeah.
I personally haven't even cared to worry about it too much. I like keep my stuff like the past few sessions that I've been doing, I've been sitting on a couch like without having anything in front of me.
Mm.
Or like if I do, it's like in a book, right? And so I don't care even if they see it for like a second, I'm just like, fuck, that's my fault. Oh well.
Yeah.
But like I don't care if somebody sees what I've been writing or whatever, because usually it's nothing more than stats, I think, honestly.
Mhm.
And I don't care if they see the stats. That's just on them for if they look at it and if they're going to keep that out of their brain or not, you know?
Yeah.
Separate.
Like, yeah, one of the issues with like when I play is the fact that my DM screens typically aren't like too tall. They're like one of the standard ones with like the dragon flying.
Yeah, I have that one too.
Yeah. Um and like it is not hard to see over that.
Mm.
Especially if you're at like a table that is somewhat like cramped for space.
Mm-hmm.
But like for reference, like just kind of looking at my notes. Hold on. It doesn't really benefit the party at all if they see stronghold, older brother, younger sister, even younger brother, both parents.
True.
Cult location ?
Right. Yeah.
Lower high-end fam minor lords north of Colovia Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing your own kind of shorthand, and that's something that only you are going to be able to like decipher, right?
Yeah, like I could totally write my notes in Daedric.
Oh yeah,
but
there you go.
Like I don't because there's no point in it.
Right. Unless you want to be cool.
Yeah.
I do have some Daedric in my notes, but that's like materials I intend on giving to the players later.
There you go.
But DMing is a big job, and it's a fun one. But it's way different than from actually playing. When you take up the job as DM, you're selling your soul to Satan. You're saying, yes, I can do this. So you better be ready for the bombardment of players wanting to do all their stuff. I mean, you're only one person, and they're trying to get all their actions through the game, and it can be difficult. And I swear, there's always this one guy who gets mad because he never gets heard. Just make sure to bring boom mics too. I mean, you never know. You just might need a boom mic. Regardless.
First off, yeah, I agree. There is always somebody who's gonna get kind of upset that they're not being heard equally. Because unfortunately, when you have a group, you're gonna have people that are talking a bunch at the same time. In fact, a lot of the time, or having side conversations or all that kind of stuff. It's just natural, unfortunately, for a lot of the case. When somebody thinks of something funny and then they whisper to their friend and then they start laughing and shit. That's just it's part of the course.
You have the high on pot news situation,
right? Exactly. But the we actually had an incident the other day when we were playing, in the sense of we had started playing again, and we had been interrupted by a couple of things, so we were kind of like out of the mindset, and so one of my players was looking something up to show to somebody else, and this happened like in the middle of somebody else talking to their character, which was unfortunate, because then they showed them and then they started to talk, and I had to immediately call it out, because one, it was a characteristic that is is not something that player does much, like, at all. So it was out of the norm, and so I noticed it, and I was like, oh, well, that's just like, let's not do that. And unfortunately, like, we were like upset at each other for like a second, but then we all were like, oh fuck, wait, we all do that a little bit, shit, we should stop, right? We actually then talked about it a bit, and we got a bit better because of it, because then it was just like, yeah, we'll try to do this less, because it is actually incredibly rude to everyone else when we're on our phones, because we have to look at something really quick, unless it's for something that actually is important to the game. But yeah,
or at the very least relevant, I would say, because if you have something that happens in game that happens to be coincidentally like very similar to a meme, or you're looking for a reaction image that could perhaps describe how like your character feels in that moment, I personally think that's okay, because I think that's okay because I do that all the time.
That's the thing. We differ in that kind of respect, because I know you are much more of a meme lord than I am. But yes, I know that you use that as what you need, more so, and that's totally fine, because I know you, and that's just how it works. You kind of look at memes and shit, and
yeah,
and I'm not like that at all, in the sense of if I see something, it's usually you show me, right?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
Exactly. So like it's either you or someone else that shows me it, and so I don't even think of that. But it also it depends on the person, I would say, and also your group and just how the dynamic is.
Yeah.
And so yeah, as long as that's the case, I mean, yeah. But just recognize when it's a disruption and a problem, like what we had to do, and we actually had to talk about it and actually resolve it, and it worked out really well. Like we all were like, "I'm sorry," right? And we were all just like, "Let's just be better about it from now on."
Do you mean to tell me that you set and enforced expectations for behavior supposed to be at the table and had clear and open communication between you and your players?
Fucking Nazi.
I know, right? I am, right?
Right, Hitler?
What is wrong with you?
I know. It's just bad. It's just so bad. At least I'm not a cheater,
I
okay?
just cut off their hands
No,
and be
yeah,
done with them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Players, a good DM wants you to be free to do whatever you want. That's how D&D works. It's a game where you can do whatever you want. That's how the game goes. But this often gets to players' heads, and they can often end up telling the DM no. So, you all are in the mountains, and suddenly Yetis pop out to attack you. No! This dude just said no to the DM. When does that ever happen? That never happens. Players never say no to
I was gonna say it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I think I actually don't know of any instance where that would happen, unless actually no, there is one instance that I know of. Because I was reading through, I don't remember what it was that I was reading, but I think it might have been D&D Green Text actually, where it was talking about how this one woman was at the table. One of the other players.
I remember this one.
Yeah, the other players.
It was one of the players' mothers, I believe it was.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about. I don't know what that one is. I'm talking about
horrible.
No. I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about the one where she had a character and the player wanted their character to sleep with them, their character, and then she was like, no, and then when she left, and they continued on, they were like, yeah, that happened.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was like a really shitty thing to like do, obviously, because she was like no, but she wasn't there, so they didn't.
So basically, they raped her character.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, and it's like no, don't fucking do that. No, right? So yeah, that's one instance where I'd say yeah, then I can see them saying no, absolutely, because the character doesn't want that, and neither does the player.
I have noticed it to some small extent.
Okay.
Specifically in my group's druid.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Who
we all immediately are like, oh, that guy. All right.
Yep.
I considered leaving it like,
ambiguous. Yeah.
The fact that everyone would probably already know. But wherein like he's like completely fucked something up.
Sure.
Like Scrooge the Pooch, basically.
Not the sheep?
Not the sheep this time. Things are bad, but not that bad. Anyway.
Sorry, I just noticed that you changed your fucking nickname on fucking Watch Together to Biosmium. To his Sorry, boys. Right, yeah, you anyway, go on.
Yeah, I changed that a while back.
I just noticed it legitimately. Damn it.
Wherein like he is like royally screwed the pooch on something. And I'm like, okay, well, as a result of that, this happens, yada yada yada. And one of them people go like, wait, no. And I'm like, yeah though. Like you're the one who tried to use like shape earth. Yeah, the girl who basically just saw the floor shift open beneath her and a piece of furniture drop. Yeah, dude, she's screaming.
Yeah. I would actually I'll posit another thing of the every now and again people will be like upon receiving new information that was not clearly conveyed, they will then say, "Oh, then my character wouldn't do that." Right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in those cases I'd be like, "Oh, okay." Right?
Yeah, that's
fine.
If you're legitimately unaware of the situation.
Absolutely. That those are cases where it happens and I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Or like when we get to situations in which I have very little knowledge, right? Like alcohol. I don't fucking know shit because I just don't. And so literally when I'm like, yeah, they drank this much and it gets them drunk, right? And then they're like, wait, no, that wouldn't get somebody drunk. And I'd be like, okay, how much? And like they've all drank, right? I'm like, how much would it actually take? And then they're like, this much. And I'm like, oh, okay, so then it would be that much.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty much the only time I would be okay with it, is if I'm being corrected on something I'm legitimately wrong on.
Exactly.
If you're like, if I say something and then you tell me no, like you're telling me what happens? No,
Yeah,
I'm the
no.
DM.
Exactly.
I tell you what happens.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, that's I guess we've both then we're like, wait, no, and then we even thought of situations where it does apply. So that's good.
Yeah. The excuse really that I will use is that the situation I've had with my druid has not been like exactly the example that was set forth
Oh, sure.
in the video.
Yeah,
it's
the example that he set is not something that happens.
Yeah, that is a very hard and fast, the player just disagreeing with the DM and saying, no, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Whereas like what my druid is doing is more like, I mean, like, oh no, nah, you don't have to do that.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Sort of like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's something that even still I'm very firm. And if someone's like, you don't have to do that, and like trying to like sway me from it, I'm in fact more likely to double down and make the situation even worse.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
The DM, it's always the DM saying no. It's always the DM saying no, you can't do that. It's always the DM saying and restricting players, and it's never ever players restricting other players from playing.
What is that armor and weapon, Aiden?
Or everybody playing the
I was
actual
actually
game.
just
It's
thinking of that.
Is it the Crusader stuff?
If you go back just a little bit.
Yeah, when he's
I-
running.
I actually do want to go
to the
back a bit because I
DM.
want to know what
When does
his
that ever
point was.
It looks very much like a character from the heretical texts, the apocrypha, so to speak, of a man by the name of Palinal Whitestrike, who went. Think of him as the Doomslayer, but for elves.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did the
Never
Crusader's Heroic
happens.
Quest.
Players never say no to the DM. It's always the DM saying no. It's always
Yeah,
the
that's
DM
no and all.
saying no, you can't do that. It's always the DM saying and restricting players, and it's never ever players restricting other players from playing, or the DM from his game, or everybody playing the actual game. It's always the DM every single time. All right.
I'll be honest, his point, I actually don't know. I get that he's trying to say that. I think he's trying to say that the DM doesn't say no all the time or something. I'm not sure, because he started with saying players, and now I'm confused, right?
Yeah, I kind of lost.
I completely lost the plot, because he just kept saying this, like, the thing over and over to a point of, like, I don't know what you're saying anymore.
Yeah, it got to be like a fucking quadruple negative.
Exactly. So I'm gonna bring it back and just, like, actually try to figure out what the fuck he said one more time.
Yeah.
But
it didn't help that I was like distracted by my burning hatred for the apocryphal texts of the Elder Scrolls.
That's okay. Try to keep that out of your brain while we listen to it one more.
Dude, you have no idea.
I don't. You're right. I have no fucking
when
clue.
I was able to finally like steer the careening 18-wheeler of my attention back to the video, we were like in 3 out of 5 double negatives.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going on. So let's see if
No. This dude just said no to the DM. When does that ever happen? That never happens. Players never say no to the DM. It's always the DM saying no. It's always the DM saying, no, you can't do that. It's always the DM saying and restricting players, and it's never ever players restrict DM from his game or everybody playing the actual game. It's always the DM every single time. All right.
Okay.
The issue was that he repeated the same thing about 7 times.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate part. Again, this is an older video, so I guess this is more of like a... I don't know when this was like posted and when he started.
Minus 5 points.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But like, I assume he's going to now make the point of sometimes players do that, because I think he's now complaining of like how well. I'm not entirely sure, but what I assume he's complaining about is that everyone says that the DM says no, and no one considers when the players say no to each other and the DM. I assume that was his point, but I have no clue.
Not even necessarily to each other. I think more just like when you're trying to do something with your character, and because someone else wants your character to do something else, they start throwing a shit fit.
Right, which, I mean... I don't know. I don't know what his point is entirely. I can't piece it from all of the... I don't know why, it was just so hard to follow.
Yeah.
Some Yetis come out to attack you. No, because my passive perception is higher than their stealth. I looked it up. You. You enter a cave and step on a trap. Roll Dex. No, I'm actually playing a mech robot, and his parents were traps, and he can't be a...
Whoa, what? His what?
Same.
His parents were traps?
Okay. I think
So,
this was before that
he
meeting.
So he has...
No, this isn't.
It isn't? Oh, well.
No. That meeting predates all of our lives.
I am pulling my shirt collar couple of times here. Yee. All right. Well, it's unintentional.
Funny line though. I'm not.
Oh no, it's good.
For me, that is a cursory and obligatory yee, and then it can now be moved forward.
Exactly. I'm not. I know that's not what he meant, but at the same time,
I think it was a little something sprinkled in there.
No, I don't think. No, he's talking about the players saying that their mech parents were the constructed apparatus that shoots something or makes you fall or something that harms you. That's what.
Did you guys know that in Scooby-Doo, Fred canonically loves traps?
Yes.
In fact, he has a subscription to Traps Illustrated.
Yes, I know. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I know that. Actually,
Man loves him a double hitch.
It's true. All right, let's keep going here.
You too! He jumps over you and perfectly stabs you in the back. You take 10 damage. Actually, no, my character doesn't have a back.
Okay, that's funny.
Alright, for reference to all you players, your DM 99.99% of the time knows all your stats, your things, and all the stuff you can do. He didn't forget. He's not forgetting your almighty sword of I know how to get all the stats to this monster. Sometimes, just sometimes, they want to leave you in the dark and come up with a reason that you can't do this right now. I mean, he's the DM, he can do whatever he wants. If he chooses that you're now an elf cleric, I mean, you're an elf cleric now, he said.
No.
Questionable.
No. Unless in context, this is something that makes logical sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, legitimately, I can say I have an example of something changing race, not in my campaign, but watching one, where, this is a spoiler. This is a spoiler for High Rollers, Campaign 1, if anybody cares about that. In that campaign...
I would have watched that when I could listen to TableTalk discussion and Discourse.
Oh, thank you. Exactly. Get all your... I'll recap it for you. But in that, one of the characters finds a it's kind of like a pensive in the sense of Harry Potter, if you remember what that is.
Mhm.
And if you don't know what that is, it's like looking into a thing and seeing memories and stuff of a character.
It's a scrying mirror, but for memories.
Exactly. So it's somewhat like that, but it like physically changes the character into being a giant.
Oh.
Like giant kin, I think, because it is imbued with that kind of power to help the giants live on. So that happens, and like in that instance it was really heartbreaking for the character in the moment, because the character didn't want that, but it was a thing that was already set up in the world that was there and they didn't know, and that was a whole thing of just like, oh no, that really fucking sucks, which it was fixed later, don't worry about
Were
that.
they entitled to a save?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely they were, but they failed it.
Kosher.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned. But yes, it was totally above board. But
Yep.
but it happened, and they were extremely upset. And the way that I cured it was a divine intervention, actually. Which, yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, something like that would fall under, in my opinion, it would fall under the umbrella term of cursed object.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And again, if something like that happens, yes, sure, you're now an elf cleric, if that's what it does to you, right? But you,
or if it's something like where a huge part of your character arc has you been wanting to become this.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like say you're a goblin worshipping Corellin the Rethian, and you're a cleric, and so you have like a bit of like body dysmorphia going on. And you've always wanted to gain Corellin the Rethian's favor to become an elf cleric, and at some point, either at the end or like towards the later stage of the campaign, your character gets recognized for that, and that you are now an elf cleric. Then that's like cool.
Yeah, no, that
actually sounds like a really fucking awesome character,
right?
Anyway,
I'm just gonna like open up a quick notepad real quick.
Right?
Oh, what's this document? Character ideas?
But yes, that unfortunately the way that he's worded this is a little suspect, in the sense of just saying no, everything that the DM does is fine. Where if they were to do that to me, I'd be like, without reason, right? Without provocation, I'd be like, I don't like that. Can we not do that? How about I say no? And that's a valid reason for the player to say no if they're like, I don't want that. And there's no reason for it whatsoever.
Because if you do that, that's it's a very malicious destruction of a character.
Absolutely.
Yes. Unless your DM is already like, honestly, if I were to do something like this, I would literally pull that player aside and be like,
"Hey, just about to say that. Yeah, like, hey, I'm gonna do something."
I would pull the player aside and be like, "Hey,
trust me on this."
Yes, don't worry. I have a plan for this. Don't freak out. It's gonna be fucking crazy, but I got you, homie.
I got you.
I was just thinking that. I was like trying to put together the words of what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That is something that you absolutely want to do as a DM. World fuckery is for the DM's purview. Character fuckery is not.
Exactly. Yes. And like absolutely valid if you pull them aside. You can't just thrust that upon somebody without anything, right? Yes. If this is something that will happen for no reason and you haven't told your player at all,
they're gonna be very angry.
That's so fucked. Exactly.
Definitely get your players permission for that and say, hey, is it alright if I do something? I got something really cool planned for your character.
Exactly.
I'm gonna throw something at you that you're not gonna be happy with. Just trust me that it'll work out. Is the ideal solution.
Yes.
Less ideal is you pulling them aside and then saying, hey, I'm going to do something, trust me. And then having no chance, but like no real choice, but to just say like, okay, if you're gonna do it, and then absolutely like haram is no forethought as to how the player is going to react. You just go forward with it.
Exactly. And the other thing that I want to mention is that I don't fucking remember all your stats all the fucking time.
I don't.
Yeah.
Like
If
this
I
is
give you like a
I
really
do-
powerful magical weapon, or you just got a really big ass spell, I'll remember that.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Exactly. Like
Like
the reason why I usually have a copy of a player's thing is to like look at it every now and again, but it's not I have an encyclopedic memory for some things, but not for your things,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, no. Typically, if I have a whole world to keep track of,
Yeah.
as well as quest lines and NPCs and like NPC voices and mannerisms and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I trust my players to know what they can and cannot do.
Exactly.
And it has resulted in some really fucky moments when, like the druid character thought he could cast spells, that he couldn't, and I was like, yeah, go for it. Yep, this changes, yada yada. He opened up the hole in the middle of someone's mansion.
Mhm.
Turns out that that spell was a 4th level spell, and he was like not high enough level to cast that, and he's like, oh, can I take this back, because like he's trying to fix his mistake. And I was like, no, because we spent the past hour and a half playing off of that happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, it's funnier if there's just some random fluke of magic that happens to funnel its way through you somehow. And now that you're in the mansion and being hired to try to fix it, and you don't have the spell to do so, that is this is my punishment for you. Have fun.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a couple of things there that I'm like,
Yeah.
He's the DM. You can't contest that. You can't say no. That's how the game works. If the DM says it, it's happened now. Playing D&D is like improv. Improv is a method of acting where you make everything up on the spot. Like, Whose Line Is It Anyway, if you've ever seen that. When doing improv, you make everything up. The biggest rule is that you can't deny what's happening in the situation. If
Yes,
it happens,
and motherfucker.
it happens. For example, if an actor says, "My God, you've got a gun! Everyone duck!" You wouldn't say, "No, I have a knife."
well, I mean, what if you're trying to like
But what if I have a gun knife?
right? What if I have a knife?
Yeah.
But like legitimately,
Or
I could in that sense go, what? No, and like try to be someone who's trying to, I don't know, diffuse the situation while hiding the fact they have a gun.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like
you point your fingers like you have a gun, and like you tuck it into your jacket.
exactly.
Like, no, I don't.
I was literally doing that while putting it behind my back, like in right now. But legitimately, like you could. Improv works in all directions as long as you're not Michael Scott and going into every situation, then telling everyone you have a gun and they need to get on the ground, ending the scene, right? Like, but yeah, I don't know. That's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Would have to play along with it and say, well, I guess it's time to kill myself, as if you were pretending you had a gun. And this is kind of how D&D works. It's like improv, except you're not playing with other actors, you're playing with other people, and the DM is like the main actor who's telling you everything that happens. So if the DM says it, that's what happens, and you have to respond to it. You can't sit there and contest it. I mean, unless he's clearly playing the rules wrong, and it's like something along the lines of, you take 10 damage, wait, we're fighting a Tarrasque, I take 10 damage? At least put it in the form of a question.
Why would you contest that?
Yeah.
Fighting a Tarrasque, I take 10 damage? Oh,
that's when
okay.
you say yes and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of times where you can like, we've all done it, where we just go, just to whatever, because we're also like, oh, I know that could be way worse. Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't there's a couple of things that everyone knows. You don't suggest negatives to the DM, right?
Yes.
And then you take the good whenever you can.
Yeah, there's I forget what book it was in. I want to say it was actually, I don't know if it was The Art of War. It was a quote. Oh wait, no. I think it was a quote from some old general. I want to say it was Napoleon. I don't remember.
Okay.
And it's a very simple quote. It's, if your enemy is making a mistake, don't correct them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the art of war.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Well,
Yeah, like
the thing that I would say, of course, is that you're not viewing your DM as the enemy.
obviously,
Right.
yes. But what I'm
Obviously.
saying is, like, if your DM is making a mistake in that sense, where the lich fires a disintegration ray at you, take 6 damage. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
like,
if they don't realize it themselves, I mean, you could be trying to score brownie points and go, well, I mean, right?
Yeah, but
you can
I mean,
do that.
It
But
depends,
you should.
you know?
I mean, it's a whole situation of like, it depends on the context.
Yeah.
If you are like, well, I don't know, I don't want to be like too unfair to like what's happening with your narrative here, I will take the disintegration ray and die.
Yeah, I will take all 40 damage.
Exactly.
Quick correction.
Okay.
Double check myself.
Okay.
Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake is commonly attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte. Not Sun Tzu. Moreover, it is apparently not directly what he said. Because some people also say never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself.
Okay.
So I don't think he ever said those words directly.
But it was something similar enough to where that's what it
something
gets
similar
interpreted
enough
at.
was said like so and so many 100 years ago, in another language.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Cool.
So I was less right.
Yes, you were less right.
That's not how much damage Tarrasques. You can advise the DM, but don't be advising him every 3 seconds. He's the dungeon master, and
unless he's new and legitimately wants you to.
Exactly. That is absolutely accurate. Like, legitimately, I will like, I'm playing a game every now and again when I can with a DM who looks to me for advice, actually, because I've been DMing him, and I was like, yeah, okay, and I'll do that, and I'm looked as that for a lot of other things actually too. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, I mean, I'll do that if you want me to. And every now and again, I will put in a thought of like, well, the rules do say, and remember, I don't, like, I legitimately even said this to him. I was like, hey, so the rules for exhaustion, every 24 hours you make the roll and it starts at a DC 10, for a constitution save so that you can resist having a point of exhaustion. But if you really want it to be like a DC 12, that's totally fine, right? Like, that's, you do that. I'm just telling you exactly what the rule book says, but you have the final say, is actually basically what I said.
It's the difference between being a rules lawyer and saying, no, I refuse to play unless if we play by Adventurers League rules like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus providing your DM with some information that they may not be necessary of or necessarily aware of.
A rules lawyer versus a rules consultant.
Yes.
A pundit, one might say.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, fuck me.
RPGs.
I don't want to be compared.
He was consulted.
He was consulted.
He was consulted.
God.
So it'd be cool if you respected him a little bit. So when is the DM supposed to say no? Well, really not that often. Typically for moments when the story or adventure is going to break for it. DMs, you gotta have good judgment for this, especially when saying no. Well, what's a situation where I would say no? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's an example. I was playing a game one time where everybody was in combat, and this character named Mallory was throwing one of her weapons at her friend, Chai Li, who was currently under control by an intellect devourer. She decided to curve her thrown weapon so that Chai wouldn't see it coming, because he was a monk, he could have caught it. Well, she ended up rolling bad and hitting her other friend because of the curve. Mal ended up saying, well, no, I wanted to curve it this way. I had already rolled the damage and said that it happened, and this was the moment where I had to say, sorry, no, you hit your friend. It wasn't specified which direction you curved. It's tough luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's totally fair. I would say.
I could actually kind of go. Whoa, shit. 50-50. Sorry, I nearly dropped a lock.
It's all right.
I could kind of go either way on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing actually.
In the context of in a crowded battle, your characters are adventurers. They've been in battles and ostensibly throwing knives for a while.
Mhm.
And they would know that a risky maneuver, such as like, oh, if I aim left, I may hit my friend. If I aim right, I may hit empty space. I would, at that point in time, I would make a judgment call over how trustworthy the player is in general, and
Mhm.
whether or not I adjudicate allowing a reroll or like changing the outcome
Exactly.
would be more in line with how are they a good boy or not.
Yeah, yeah, that is a good point.
So I'm not even like with like outside forces. I would say personally, like in the sense of like judging the the player, right? I would say it depends on how long they've been together as a party, right? How many times this has actually been done, right? If this is something in the heat of the moment, would you consider that, right? What's their intelligence and wisdom scores? I would do it by
Intelligence and
numbers.
wisdom. That's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would do it by numbers in order to then make it more of a character thing. In the sense of whether or not they would have thought about it, right? And so in that case, like if I look at the character and I go, well, they wouldn't consider it, or they're one chaotic neutral, or they're lawful evil, right? Anything like that, like, or fucking lawful good or whatever. It depends. There's a lot of factors that I would then go into of like, well, okay, maybe then I'll say that it doesn't hit and it'll go that way, or maybe I'll say that it hits your friend. Or maybe I'll even be nice and say it hits some random enemy who was also like over there, right?
Yeah, I've done stuff like that before too.
Exactly. So like it just depends on all of that for me at least.
Yeah, when in doubt, you can always flip a trusty D2.
Yes, I have a couple of those just in case.
That's more often than not what I do in a situation where I'm like, I have no real feelings on this one way or the other. I would also just throw out there, going off of your whole, like, am I going to be nice and allow that to hit an enemy, perhaps? One of the little homebrew things I do is during horde battles. If there's a nat 1, it may hit your ally, or it may still wind up hitting an enemy.
Oh yeah.
Simply because in a horde battle, when you're so choked with enemies, even a wild, inaccurate swing is still likely to hit an enemy somehow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just something I would like to throw out to our audience, if they are a DM and considering doing some horde battle mechanics, feel free to take that or disregard it.
Yeah, or bring it up to your DM that you know.
Yes.
And actually, now that you mention it, something else good for our viewers would be to pick up Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh, God. Oh, he got an early one in there. We're only an hour in. Fuck.
I was gonna do Disney Plus.
Dude.
Oh,
oh no, don't you dare bring the mouse into this. Oh, don't you dare.
Soon.
I actually was gonna say, when you reminded me that literally the other day was the first time that I actually saw an Arknights ad.
Oh.
Which one was it?
I don't fucking care.
Okay.
I saw the name and I skipped it.
Good.
Oh. I don't know, man. Missing out on a quality game.
Yeah.
But
We've
it kept
not
the
been
situation under control.
We've not been paid to deliver an ad for Raid Shadow Legends.
We've not been paid
We
whatsoever.
have not been paid. This is purely as a result of personal passion for Raid Shadow.
Yeah, alright. Yeah, sure. Jesus Christ.
Where's my influencer bag?
Jesus.
But why, BIOS? Why force the players to your whim? Why did you do that? You have to foster respect. Mal should have specified which way the weapon was going to curve, and she didn't. If I go back on my word and what I said, the other players are going to notice this. And maybe unintentionally, but they will take advantage of it. They'll know that they can say no to me and I'm going to favor them. Or if I say no to anybody in the future, they're gonna think it's unfair. You have to do these decisions early on so that everybody gets an understanding of who you are as a dungeon master. And when your players respect your game, they're gonna have more fun with it, to be honest. If your players are having fun murder hoboing their way through villages and all over straying away from the perfectly beautiful handcrafted adventure that you've constructed, that's a good thing. They're having fun, and yes,
Jokes on them, I made no plot to speak of.
D&D is about having fun.
All I have is NPCs.
Same.
For them to murder.
Jokes on them. The first time I actually delivered a plot point that was nothing about their characters was literally last session.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, no, not that. Sorry, no, that wasn't you. I literally just, I stuck a pick in a lock and I just pressed up and the lock popped.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
Well, that's
Nat 20.
Never going to buy that lock for anything that I want guarded.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound good for that lock.
Yeah.
Like, I stuck it in, just applied pressure, and it went, and I'm like, I'm either getting really good at this, or that's just a bad lock.
That's about
Try to replicate it at least 2 more times, and then you'll know.
I refuse.
Oh, well, you scientist, fuck you.
About storytelling, but that means no one ever said DMs can't have fun. So go ahead, join in, go with the flow. D&D is like improv. You can go where everyone wants to and have fun on the ride. And you know what? If the players decide that they want to go to some random tavern in the middle of nowhere and just kill everybody inside, let them go to a tavern and let them kill everybody inside. Who cares? Saying no is not a bad thing. It's something you shouldn't do too often, but not something you should never ever do. There's an amount of control you have to have as a dungeon master, and you have to have respect for your game. And I guarantee you, if your players respect your game, they're gonna have more fun.
Okay, but that's a fair point. But freedom in and of itself doesn't inspire faith in your campaign. That
Agreed.
in and of itself can sometimes be a bit of an issue. Where me personally, in my DMing style, I like to build a world and have a story prepared so that my players can go about it. They're free to do what they want, but I will eventually start to, like, maybe subtly try to push them to do it. Like, I'll have something happen and then try to pique their interest in the story. And my problem with 100% open games is that if you are good at it, if you're good at it, great. That's totally fine. If you're good at, like, setting a map down on the table and be like, okay, you're here, go. You know, if you're good at that, if you're good at coming up with characters on the spot, dialogue on the spot, random encounters on the spot, great. However, that level of unpreparedness is a double-edged sword. In one sense, you're an amazing improver. You're great at it. That's good. However, that also means that you don't have anything prepared. And so eventually, when your players start playing in that world long enough, it's going to start to feel kind of empty. Eventually, depending on the players, of course. I'm that kind of player where I'm like, imagine you're playing Skyrim and you never do a single quest. You go into a town, you sell your shit, you maybe buy a house, and then you just go out and kill shit. And then you go out and kill shit, and kill shit, and kill shit. Over and over and over again. If you don't have anything big prepared, it's going to feel like there's a lot less purpose to the adventuring.
Okay.
And simply, me, personally, that's what I like. I like to feel like I have something to do. Now, that can come around naturally. Alejo, in your game, where my character became infected with lycanthropy, werewolf lycanthropy. That was good, because I assume that came about relatively unscripted, relatively.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
okay, there
I'll
you
tell
go.
you that 100% because I don't think we're ever gonna get back to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, sucks.
But yes,
Because Mike is gone.
yeah,
But,
exactly.
That can come around. However, those kinds of things are essentially just a quest that's slightly more important in the moment because it was great for my character. It was really cool, but it simply amounted to I failed to save. We went to a place. I got healed. Done. And that was it. Not that it wasn't an enjoyable ride.
Yeah,
but
I regret not doing more with that. I look back at that and that is one of my regrets for that. Of like,
I mean,
not
honestly,
doing more.
Don't worry. I still really enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
I really liked it.
I'm really glad.
Because,
I realized I could have done more with it.
Yeah. So having an improv world is totally fine if you're good at it. But you should have something. You should have a plan. You should have a backup plan. Or hell, a front up plan. I don't fucking know.
Did Boo just compliment me? Like,
yeah,
like
I liked it.
You should have a full frontal plan.
No.
Yes.
I was alluding to. Did you just say that I'm good at my improv world? Oh, that's weird.
I liked it.
Hey.
Yeah, it was a good campaign. I enjoyed playing it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Please stroke me
more. The dungeon was a bitch, but
yeah. Yeah.
That is just as much my fault.
The dungeon was great.
Okay, now
I had fun.
Here's my thing.
Yeah,
We're going into that right now.
Okay.
Here's my thing. How long have you fuckers been alive?
What do you mean?
How old are you?
Oh,
I'm 23.
I'm 24. I'll be 25 soon.
In your 23 and 24, almost 25 years,
yeah.
How many times has a door been stuck? Has it? It's been locked. It's not been stuck ever. That
in a game. Ooh, yeah.
I know, but like, don't worry, it's fine. It's just that.
Boo.
What?
You correct that Alejo and I are both Northerners. Where we're in ice freezing car doors, like shut.
It's a thing that happens.
Very much a thing.
Yeah.
Car doors.
Well,
quite wooden doors down in a cave.
Hey,
not in a snowstorm.
Hey,
if it was a snowstorm, I would have been like, well, is there snow blocking the door? Yes. Oh, okay. Let's clear the snow.
I drove home like a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And I went to open my driver's side door and it wouldn't open. So I pushed, didn't open, pushed harder, didn't open, and started ramming my shoulder into the door. Door's unlocked. I'm like holding the handle, trying to get it open.
Yeah.
I wound up having to crawl out through the passenger side, like over the dashboard.
Yeah, man.
So like,
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like, I also have not ever had a door also be in an RPG also be stuck instead of locked, right? Yeah. Fair enough. Absolutely.
That was my only and that was only after the fact. That was like weeks and weeks and weeks after the fact. So it doesn't matter. I still enjoyed doing it at the time. I wasn't angry or anything.
No, of course.
But it just made me think. It's like, I've literally never had that happen.
Well, hey, there you go. I gave you a new experience.
I have had in Fallout 3 and in Elder Scrolls Online encountered doors that were obviously meant to be like the end of the dungeon.
Oh, sure.
Where like you go down to the dungeon and then you loop back around and then there's a door that is like, oh, it's stuck or it's locked from the other side.
Yeah.
Shit's locked.
I've had that.
Yeah, totally.
The reason why I wanted to burn down for our audience's sake, in Alejo's campaign a while back, the first dungeon that we went through, we fell through for like 3 traps, and we got to the point where we were all low on HP and paranoid because every time we turned around, there was another freaking trap.
Yep.
There was reason for it too, which was good.
Fine. It was Brogan's character.
I know. Colungo kept fucking dying the whole way. I actually do have a couple of videos that I put on a channel that just died out, like, but details it a little bit, which was good. But yeah.
And because of that, we all grew very paranoid. And when we encountered a double set of doors that were wooden, I sort of jokingly threw out to the group, like, well, you guys know, we could always set the door on fire,
Yeah.
seal up the mouth of the cave, and there's enough air in the cave to, like, burn the door, and then we just give the smoke enough time to settle down, and we can come back in, like, a few hours.
Yeah.
Not thinking that anyone would take me seriously, but like just trying to get like discussion going,
Right.
and everyone communally went, "Yes, let's do that."
It was amazing. It was
so great.
It was the first time that I've ever seen that ever.
Oh, same.
I never in my life was even thinking like, yeah, there's a door here, it's made of wood, they're gonna burn it down. I've never thought that about a door in a cave
too.
In a cave, yeah.
And as such, we went outside after setting it alight, took a short rest. We were questioned by the people that had sent us down into the cave. What are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing down?
And we said, we're chilling a bit. And we went back in. Everything smelled of smoke. And the door was burned down. And inside we found a room. And at the end of that room was another set of double doors.
Yeah.
These ones, mysteriously, were stone.
Oh.
No. It wasn't mysteriously. They were just made of stone. That was not... That that was already predetermined.
Say, DM man.
Quite literally, that was predetermined already. It was just a way.
You say.
It was so fucking funny. The best part even was you got through that door and then Kalunga went and looked at a painting and then got hit by a fucking axe.
It was another trap.
Because it was another trap.
Oh my god, I remember that. I forgot about the painting after the door.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot.
God, he drank more of my health potions than I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time he went unconscious, I
remember
just stoppered another one.
The dice, the world, the universe wanted him to die.
Yep,
this
and
was
his fucking throat ripped out by a goddamn warg.
Quite literally, and I will tell this story every time till the day I die. Whenever somebody's like, "Oh man, there's a lot of nat 20s you roll in," I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's not like the time where I had disadvantage against attacking a fucking Hadozi and I rolled 2 nat 20s
and killed him
right out. It's nothing like that."
Wait, whoa! Was he in full health at the time?
He was. Yes, he was.
God.
So a whopping 3 HP.
Yeah, really. It was really low, regardless of whatever it was. But yes.
That character sucked.
Yeah. But he was good character growth for Ralph, let's be honest.
Remember the time when he got downed and Mock, being as strong as he was like, just threw him up on his back and ran.
Yes, I do.
And he's like, "Where's my stuff?" And I'm like, "Stuff?"
Yeah. That's what happened.
Probably.
Oh my god, I forgot so much shit
forest.
about that.
Yep. There was a lot of good shit that happened to that.
Actually, I have a question about that campaign.
Sure.
Actually,
yeah,
I don't know because I know that when Brogan rolled up that wizard or that sorcerer guy, and then he bitched out during the werewolf fight.
Right. Yes.
After that, Mike and him both rolled up new characters.
Yes.
Did it was really weird during the werewolf fight. It seemed. Did Mike suicide in that fight?
No, I don't think so.
He didn't intentionally suicide.
I'm absolutely certain that, and again, I very much think that was in character for him to go and fight the werewolf. Because he was a lupine. Lupines are
who hated werewolves.
Yeah, bred to hate and fight werewolves. That's their whole thing.
at the time, it just seemed so strange because, like, oh, he's a trained soldier, and I'm gonna run past these two wolves and give them both opportunity attacks just to get to the werewolf.
To be fair, he had a high armor class.
He did.
He was banking on that armor class most of the time.
Yeah,
and it would have been fine had I not been rolling fire.
Yeah, it's true.
Plus, also, like, his death was so that Mock may live.
It was. It's true.
Yeah. Despite the fact that as fast as I was, I could quite literally run circles around that werewolf.
Yeah.
It's a fast turtle boy.
It's good stuff. It was good stuff.
Anyway, we're so off topic now.
No, we're still talking about a role-playing game. It's fine. Yeah, okay. So, overall, that video was fine. Had a couple of things in there that now looking back, I'm like,
yeah.
Doesn't he still have another couple points to make, or let's at least
no. I think this is it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for liking and subscribing.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah.
Actually, I totally forgot to mention during he was talking about it. He was saying he had to do the ruling of no because you have to establish respect at the table. Agreed that you should have respect, absolutely, for your DM and for your players, but I don't know about, like, because both Aiden and I were even like, well, about his ruling in that case. But that's basically because we would have done it differently. That's a difference in style, of course, which is subjective.
What he did is totally valid.
Absolutely. But what I would say is that if you say no to one thing and then your players are going to take advantage of that, then that's unfortunate, right? I don't know if you need to, like, establish respect, right? I feel like that's just a thing I feel like that's just organic.
That for me is a really weird and specific word choice.
Yes,
because he makes it almost sound like the way a dog tries to establish dominance.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
That's the exact term I was going to use. Dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do understand it.
I do too.
Wanting to set expectations of I am the DM, I am in control. What I say is final. I'm the adjudicator, basically.
That's because that's your job, right?
That is your job. However, like, I've not really had any experiences where people really are trying to hard and fast tell me, no, we get this much gold.
Right.
Usually, if a player thinks they deserve more gold, they just have their character say, "I think we deserve more gold."
Right, and actually, like, roleplay that out.
Yeah.
The thing that I would say is even something like Adventurers League, right? Where you have random people come in, and I mean, you might get people that do that. I highly doubt it, because I feel like the people that are going to that to try D&D and actually, like, do that are a little bit, like, nicer, right? That are actually, like, putting themselves out there to a point of, like, playing with random strangers.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be like that, even if you are like that as a person. I
don't
don't know.
Be the asshole.
I don't know if
it's an act of public service.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know why anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are some assholes out there who would, and that's why I say might be somebody who's there. But I think that a majority of people are gonna be fine and not go, no. I don't think. I think I need, like, a magic sword from that.
Yeah,
right.
I think. Going back to your previous point, I think you put that very eloquently, in that most people would roleplay that out. They wouldn't just tell the DM, no, give me more.
Right.
Yeah. They can be... That's actually an interesting... excuse me. That's actually an interesting... I'm not even sure what the term would be. Divergence, I guess. You want to be a nice player at the table and not be an asshole to your DM, but your character can be an asshole.
Oh, absolutely.
And be an asshole to the people in the game, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, usually.
Which is weird to say, but
with some exception.
Absolutely. Like, remember, you're still in a society where people are going to react in certain ways. So you have to remember, and you have to like play your character as intelligently as you can, in the sense of like, are they thinking about that? Right?
Yeah. But even even if your player understands that, there's a lot more leeway. In that aspect.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because like, oh, you're an asshole in this next town. Now let's just go to the next town over.
Yeah.
Could be as simple as that.
Especially because you can absolutely have characters that establish themselves as the group asshole. And like that can be totally fine. It can be nightmarish, but it can be totally fine.
Yeah.
Like for instance, when you had the druid in my campaign who is running around in the town looking for party members, screaming while having had wine spilled over him.
Gets sent to jail.
And he makes eye contact with the spell sword of the group and is like, there's my friend right there. And before the guards can turn, he just casts invisibility on himself and gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Asshole move, but totally understandable that he doesn't want to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Or the barbarian who just got an alchemist's jug. And the spell sword put in a special magical item that would rid whatever drink was poured into it of its alcohol content.
Okay.
And he gave one to everyone in the party. And he's like, hey, to the barbarian, he's like, hey, it would really mean a lot to me that you use my gift. And the barbarian's like, yeah. So like now whenever the barbarian, who is like a functioning alcoholic, requests ale of the alchemist's jug, he then winds up pouring it into the tankard of sobriety.
Wow.
And is constantly basically drinking O'Doul's.
There you go.
With as always a cracked egg in it.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, again, being an asshole within limitations of the world and the social, the social aspects that you're in, right? Which again, that's more of something you'll see at a table and not somebody being an asshole to the DM, because I don't know, I feel like people can separate what's being done to a character and what's being done to them. I hope, right? I hope, right? There are some aspects where some people are unable to tear the two apart, and think more as themselves and the character. Which is unfortunate, but I can see how that can be a problem for those people, I guess. But you have to kind of work on that if that's the case. Just work on that, right?
Yeah. In general, the rule of thumb I use and that I've told my group about saying no as a DM, excuse me, is if the DM is telling you no, it should be something that either A, does not make sense in the logic of our universe, or B, is not allowed in the rules of D&D. Or C, is such an inherently problematic action to do to actively fuck over the party that you can sort of like protect the party from that player in that case. And that last one in particular is one I try to not have to use.
Right.
But I will instead advise the player of what they're doing and how that's a really bad idea, and I will try to tell them no without saying no for a while until they're dead set on like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to like stab my party member in their sleep or something like that.
Right.
And in which case I'll say no, you fall asleep.
Yeah.
And as a DM, personally, one of the questions, and I told this to my group, I was like, one of the questions I dread hearing as a DM is if a player comes up to me one day and says, "Why are you stifling my creativity?"
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and because of that, it's somewhat become a bit of a meme in our group of player A wants to do something ridiculous. It'd be cool, but it's stupid and ridiculous. And I say, nah, sorry, that doesn't make sense. And then they just look at me and they're like, but Mr. DM, why are you stifling my creativity?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I think that's mostly okay video. I don't know. Now looking back at it, there's some stuff in there that I'm like, but overall, I think it's all right.
Yeah.
I would say it's pretty darn good. A couple points, like you said, I don't quite agree with. A couple stylistic differences. But I cannot count stylistic differences against
No,
a person.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
It is at the end of the day his game and his world. And that is absolutely up to him.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, a couple minor things I disagree on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that's like absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing egregious.
Yes, exactly.
No cutting hands off, no fearing.
No cutting hands off. That's the big
no
one.
story except for 6 months.
Right.
None of that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah, that
once
is
every
what
100
I
years.
fear.
Right,
is
yeah.
stifling my players' creativity.
Entirely so, yes. All right. Let's see here. Give me just a second.
Is this our intermission?
No, unless you need it. Do you need
I
it
don't
now?
particularly need it. I was just figuring, one video before, one video after.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if these aren't gonna have too many points, they're gonna be rather quick to go through. So we'll probably have to come up with something else.
I
Now-
do have a potential third video,
Okay.
and we could do one of those crit crab videos because you mentioned
Oh,
a
right.
player
Yeah.
not being able to differentiate what is said to their character versus what is said to them.
Oh, okay.
And boy, oh boy, is it a doozy.
Okay.
Was that the not safe for work one, the cat
Yes.
girl? Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
because I remember we started watching that. I didn't remember if we watched it in the podcast or
No.
off.
Yeah, we didn't watch it on the podcast.
I sent it to you guys like Sunday night. So
Yeah, and then we started watching it for a little bit, and then we got sidetracked by something else.
I
We
did.
got like a couple
I know.
minutes in.
I didn't personally, so I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, you're thinking of a different video.
You sure?
Maybe you watched it and got distracted.
Maybe that's what it was.
Oh no, it was in you and I just happened to be in the watch together as we were just playing Monster Hunter.
Right.
Gotcha.
That was it.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the wrong video. That's wrong. Not that
I'm
one.
excited for Stygians and Ogre.
Yeah.
2 more days. Oh, and I'm off that day too. Sweet.
Nice. This one? Nope, that's that one. Those are 2 other XP to level 3 videos that I don't need right now. But we will cover at some point. Give me a
So wait,
second.
we're not doing the Runesmith video?
No, we are. I'm just, I don't have, I thought I had it, but it's not.
It's in the
right
source channel.
there. Yeah. I didn't have it right there. I thought I had already copied it onto my notepad, but I did not. So, it should be this one. There we go. No, that's that one. What the fuck, dude? Oh, I did the same thing that you did, Aiden, where I looked at the thing and I saw Runesmith in the thumbnail, and I was like,
yep.
"That's it."
Mhm.
Wait, no, that's not it. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
So this is oh god, quality. This is 6 skills you learn as a dungeon master by Runesmith. So let's see.
Yeah, it's quite the tragedy. Poor old fool's hearing went out about a week ago. He won't respond to anything.
Oh, that's
But
why it's
here,
blown out.
We'll have to find another wizard. Finally finished catching up on my podcasts with my new Raycons. Model E25.
This is an ad.
My podcast.
No, stop. No, stop.
And such a
No.
coincidence,
No.
in
No.
fact, that he would happen to mention the beautiful Raycon
Oh
E25
my
earbuds,
God.
half the price of any other
Yes,
Bluetooth
yes,
earbuds,
yes,
and the
yes.
same quality. I
They're
happen to
really
use them
good.
myself.
They're
They
really,
come in
yep,
multiple
okay.
wonderful
All right.
colors.
Let's not.
And they're
And when
shipped
you get it,
straight
you
to
get a
your
free
door.
copy of Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow
Yeah,
Legends.
yeah.
God damn it.
Okay, all right.
But Boo, what are you
There's a
talking
really-
about? Raid Shadow Legends is already free. That's why it's the #1 app on the App Store.
That came out too fucking
Thank
quick.
you,
and
Raid Shadow Legends.
I'm
Thank you,
gonna
Raycon.
die. I'm gonna actually perish. Okay.
Why do you hate that ad revenue, Alejo?
Because we don't get it. You're just giving them free stuff.
Trust me, I don't think they're profiting from me.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Personal video. I've been a dungeon master for almost 11 minutes now, and I've learned so much about myself while doing it. Mostly that I suck at it. But time and time again, I face the same challenges. And the cool thing about being challenged is the more you do a thing, the better you get at it, because
Yeah.
we're all just slowly leveling up as people. I'm gonna start with the most important skill, improv. Let me tell you a story that happened in literally the last game that I ran. The party was stuck in
the
a
80s?
cove filled with aberrations, and the residing
looked
big
like a
bad was
fun
about
game.
to approach them. This is where we started the session, and here are the notes that I had prepared.
Oh,
They can
I've seen
summon a
this video,
genie,
I think.
And if
Oh,
they
good.
do, he will take them to the plane of air and give them advice on what to do next. There's an optional escape route that they can take through some old mine shafts. Or if they get stuck fighting, I can have a gold dragon from the north swoop in and save them at the very last minute. So a couple of loose options, and it all allows for some freedom of choice in the characters. But they leveled up, and I didn't know that one of them learned Teleportation Circle. And when you learn Teleportation Circle, you find out
very good.
about 2 existing locations. So these clever assholes threw up a tiny hut just in time, which immediately saved them from the aberrations that I had planned and written out, and then they chose to teleport to one of these 2 locations, which I had to come up with on the spot. So I thought, oh, okay, I could just send them straight to the Gold Dragon's temple. Then I cracked open the world map, thank you World Anvil, and picked a random location I thought would suit having another circle. They fucking picked the random one, and ended up fighting a beholder in his armory, and then they summoned an angel who told them the same thing that the dragon would have. The takeaway from that is that other people's choices are
not easy to predict,
and you can't really plan for them, both in life and in game. The best way to handle it, in my opinion, is to never lay out plans. Make bullet points and be ready to adapt your plans at a moment's notice.
Yes.
If you
Yep,
have a
yep,
water
yep, yep, yep,
temple and the party just heads to the mountains, your temple is now a mountain temple. If you have a dungeon and the party stays
Yep.
in town, your dungeon is now a sewer. You gotta crack open that big brain and think of other options.
So yeah, absolutely. Fucking improvise that shit. And if you
Yep.
can't fucking do that, just rely on your bullet points and refurbish.
Yes.
It's
The weakest
incredibly
plot
important.
lines, the weakest plot lines I've ever written are ones where they needed to go to talk to a specific person at any one juncture.
Mhm.
And it's something that moving forward I will definitely shy away from.
Yeah.
It can make sense in the context of a world if there just happens to be this one niche person that you can absolutely miss. It does make sense in the context of the world for realism. However, realism does not translate one-to-one into fun.
Not usually, no. Depends,
Yeah.
though.
If your party's down for it, then kudos. But yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've tried to do from day one is to write bullet points. That way how they reach those bullet points is has a lot of variability.
Yes.
And it's a lot easier to roll with the punches of when you think of plans 1 through 13 and they pull out plan 58.
Yes.
And it also allows you to introduce and create NPCs, or if depending upon how you run the game, quote unquote cutscenes, so to speak,
Sure.
of maybe a monologue, or maybe you see someone doing this at this point in time as you happen to be crossing by because you're doing this other thing.
Mhm.
And then that is either a hook for a new arc, or maybe a foreshadowing of something in your arc that you're already in. But yeah, no, definitely, just going for um, definite um, definite bullet points, but not so definite that they're set in stone and that you are married to them.
Yes.
Unless it absolutely, I mean, I would say unless it absolutely has to be in a certain kind of way. And in that
Yeah.
case, like, it just depends on how they get to that. And you can guide them if need be, right? You don't force them. Never force.
Yeah.
Always just put a little helping hand of like, hey guys, you should go this way, right? Because there's a thing over here. Neat.
Something that I think that can work really well is bullet points, yes. However, one of the things that he said was your water temple is now a mountain temple.
Mhm.
Depending on the situation in the campaign and what you have planned, maybe don't change it that much.
Right.
Because if you've spent a lot of time on this one particular place and you want them to go there, you just need to make them interested in it. That's really about it. So, like, for example, the way I would do it is, say you have a water temple and your party, you slap them down in the world and they go wherever they want. They wind up in a harbor town near this water temple and they start hearing about attacks. And it's like, oh, okay. Now, two things. One, they can either leave it alone or they can be interested in it. If they're interested in it, then they like go fight some stuff. They talk to some people who are unplanned. You don't have to come up with a name for each and every one. They don't have to talk to anybody specific.
Unless they ask every fucking time.
Yeah, right. And then they slowly learn information about it. And they get just a little bit. And then they go back to town. It's like, tell me about this ancient water temple out in the coral reef or whatever. And then they start learning about it, like, I want to go there.
Right. Yeah,
you don't railroad them. You drive them to it. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, you want to get off? Sure. And then they're on it, but it's their choice, so it won't feel like a railroad.
Exactly.
There's actually a fantastic point, and I'm sort of getting like self-conscious of the fact that I equate every point to what I do with my group, but again, like I've only ever DM'd one game, and that game is ongoing. And
I was gonna say you're drawing from personal experience, and that's probably one of the most valuable things you can do.
Yeah.
But I just do feel kind of sick of saying like, oh yeah, in my campaign blank.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your only campaign, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
The last arc, I had mentioned it earlier, but or not earlier this podcast, but like a couple episodes ago.
Previously.
Yeah. Yes. The arc that they are in, they're hunting for a particular person who stole a significant amount of drugs from the Thieves Guild.
Right.
That person happened to get picked up by, or abducted rather, by a slave trader who then sold that person to a group of cannibals who happened to be hosting a party in the rich section of town. And that party was a cover for another like secret gathering where the cannibals could meet, and once a year they sort of gather, hold worship for their goddess, and have a meal of, among other things, people are also on the menu.
Yeah. There's that one fucking awkward guy who just shows up and like,
I did.
Do you have any salad?
I did make one of them actually does not eat people. He worships the same god, but he's like, you don't have to eat people.
He's
it's
he's just I'm vegan.
Yeah. he's the attend church twice a year Christian.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, so they went down there. Or rather, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The party had no idea that the the people at this party were a group of cannibals. I just mentioned that there's a lot of like to do and like hustle and bustle in the city as people prepare for various parties. You notice that a lot of the richer adorned wagons are heading north into the richer portion of the city. And while they were talking to the local barkeep, who is a friend of the party, um, I was like, I really need to try to find a way to get these guys to go to the party, but I want them to make it so that it's something that they want to do.
Yes.
Um, and they were talking to the barkeep, and they're like, yeah, we may go crash a party later at the rich end of town, or we may just do some pranks. I don't know. Um, and as the barkeep, who happens to be a 20th level Nightblade who's retired, and is also training their harpy child how to be a arcane trickster rogue, he was like, well, I was going to go later. I happen to have an invitation that I got from the Thieves Guild, because I called in a few favors, and after I close down the shop tonight, I'm gonna go there and rob the place blind. And they're like, oh, that sounds pretty fun.
Right. Exactly.
And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring Wrigley along and use it as an opportunity to train her. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay. And he's like, tell you what, how about a little wager between you and me? And with that, they start getting interested,
It's
and
a
I'm
hook, line, and sinker, my dude.
Yep.
if you guys can outsteal me at the party, all your tabs are paid off. If you guys don't win, then they're doubled.
Yeah, there it is.
So now, question: how
Double
much
or
are their
nothing.
tabs?
Yeah.
It's like 1 gold.
It depends wildly on the characters.
Yeah, fair enough. That's what I was gonna say.
The barbarian owes like a good 10 platinum or so. The one who owes the least is the spell sword, because he's a rich boy.
Yeah.
But he still owes like, I think, like 5 gold.
Okay.
He could easily pay like out of pocket and cover everyone else's
Oh,
tabs.
of course he could.
But they're like, but like really though.
Yeah, exactly. Get your own drinks.
Yeah. So like, it became an opportunity that they're like, oh man, and then like they start planning how they're going to sneak in.
Yeah.
And through the tavern owner, I'm providing them with a bit of information. They're like, oh well, I can just draft up an invitation, and the tavern owner's like, I don't know, man, they're all personalized. He's like, I got mine, and he flashes it real quick and then tucks it away in his breast pocket before any of them can like study it enough to copy it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they put together this. He helped them, and then they kind of like led the way of their own persona that they wanted to have of the spell sword and the paladin were a young couple, and their the orc barbarian, who has no fancy clothes to speak of, is their manservant.
Right.
And the reason why they're wearing golden armor is because that happens to be all that they have. But they're like, oh yeah, but like we're from Skyrim though. And you know, we're more warlike up there, so like this is seen as good manners. And none of them have a ton of experience with Skyrim, but the orc does. So he's teaching them about like areas in Skyrim, and they come up with this whole persona, manage to smooth talk their way in and immediately start stealing shit. And when they see the nobles who are drunk being escorted downstairs, the spell sword makes like an offhand joking remark like, "Oh, what is there a bunch of cannibals down there?"
Right, yeah.
And I'm like mentally like dying inside.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, it just
No.
seems that they're like,
They're just kind of going.
kind of laying him down there, give him some water. He rejoins the party later, So
Yeah.
they start singing like they're drunk. And of course, I'm like thinking to myself, I don't have the basement prepared yet.
Right.
I
yeah.
figured that they would spend 3 sessions at least on the first floor, maybe a session on the second floor when they found out it was like most of the doors are locked, but they're going straight to the fucking
Or
basement.
stuck.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
4 sessions if they're stuck doors.
Yeah. So like I'm keeping my face calm and drawing out the basement as quickly as I can. I'm like, yeah, hold on, I just gotta sketch something out real quick. Come up with a rough draft for the basement, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll go for it. And the basement is where like the kitchen is for the main party. They make their way through there into an area. And they wound up going exactly to where they were supposed to be eaten. Fight their way through the encounter because the encounter is of course meant for drunk nobles and they are warriors. Make their way into the kitchen where people are being cooked. And of all people, the paladin is like, well, I worship a Daedra, I worship Meridia because I hate undead. And I know what it's like to worship a Daedra and not have society agree with you. And if you guys eat people, like that's fine. Because she's true neutral.
I know, it just sounds really funny. It's like, yeah, you're eating people? That's fine.
And the spell sword is like, are you gonna pay me to keep my mouth shut? And they're
Exactly.
rich nobles, and they're like, of course. And he's like, all right.
Sick.
And the person who had a main moral qualm with it was the barbarian. And it resulted in like a 20-minute discourse of the barbarian and the paladin just disagreeing with each other, and the barbarian like lecturing the paladin. Just this beautiful 20-minute character growth session.
Yeah.
And I, as a DM who like planned none of this to be the way it's going, and am in fact like in the process of moving a boss battle to like the back of my notebook.
Right, yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I'll use this later maybe.
Yeah.
It became such a better session than I could have like planned if it were set in stone. And I was like, no, you guys have to attack these guys. Or if I made the cultists who knew that they could not take these people, attack them for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Because like the chefs are just chefs. They know that they can't take an orc carrying a big ass sword.
Exactly.
Hell, the paladin and the spell sword are in armor, and the spell sword has a sword that he literally was able to teleport from where like the weapon storage area into his hand.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Yeah, it makes no sense to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's another good example of improv. The thing that I will say, of course, is if you are starting out and you're running a module, it is a lot more strict, right?
Yes.
But you can still do this. You can still have all these, like, it literally gives you the plot points. That's what I did when I did Expedition to Castle Ravenloft. That was the old Curse of Strahd.
What you mean to tell me that the ending battle didn't go exactly how you planned?
Yeah, my NPC crippled Strahd to paralyzation for the rest of eternity. And so I was like, oh fuck, well, my end now has to come now, I guess. So that was a thing. But legitimately, it gives you plot points, and you can spin them however. The fact that the Expedition to Castle Ravenloft, because I haven't read Curse of Strahd itself, and I assume it's just the same thing again, but a little different. But it is very open, like in a sense of like what you have to do to beat Strahd. You can do things out of order, and that's fine. Except for like the beginning hook stuff. The beginning hook stuff is just, I mean, it's there to be the beginning hook, obviously. So that stuff I would even say you could probably improv a bit if you needed to. But for modules, I really do think that it still applies in the sense of they give you all the bullet points. You can place them however you need to for whatever situation needs to happen. You can make it so that instead of this guy, they meet this other guy, right? Who gives them whatever information they need or whatever. The only thing that you can't really justify is, I guess, if you try to turn a dungeon into another dungeon, I would say.
Yeah. Especially if you have a water puzzle.
Exactly, right? Like,
although it could be set in a mountain and have a waterfall pouring into it.
Exactly. You can do it. You can do it. It's absolutely there, but it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Right? Has to work.
Yeah. There's not going to be a random fucking aquarium with a bunch of jellyfish at the top of a mountain.
That would actually be really fucking cool, though.
That'd be great.
Be cool. And maybe once upon a time, back when Olithids were on the surface of the earth, this was one of their temples.
Hey.
But, like, better have a reason for that.
I was gonna say, make it make sense.
Or
improv.
If you're playing a game in, like, fucking Limbo, where everything is fucking batshit.
Oh, yeah.
That could work.
Fuck it. Exactly. But yes.
Next is acting. I never planned on being an actor or using my voice in general, and I wanted to be like a writer or a character designer, but I've been improvising, so here I am. My advice for acting is that it's definitely not for everyone, and only ever do what you're comfortable with. No one is going to care if all your NPCs sound exactly the same. But if you are comfortable losing yourself, here's my advice. Actually, it's the advice of a Russian theater dude from like 1906. Throw yourself as a person out the window. Metaphorically, or literally if you want. A concussion might actually help. Then, with whatever character you're trying to play, figure out these few things. Who am I? Let's say an orc chieftain. Where am I? Comfortably on my throne, dealing with captured adventurers. What is my goal? To get information from those captives and assert my authority. Why do I want my goal? To get more power for more authority. And how do I get it? By doing the only thing I know, which is yelling angrily and swinging a big-ass stick. And lastly, what is the obstacle? What is in the way of my goal? Those captive adventurers that I'm gonna swing my stick at. Then just kind of feel it as you go. It gets hard when you have 6 NPCs and you're also the player guide and the referee, which is the next thing. How to...
Okay. So
guys, I don't get it. How do I not make a character that's paralyzed by fear?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Really difficult.
No, but like his let's go back to his full list here.
We even made a handout about it.
Yeah, that Christ.
So yeah, these are absolutely the questions that you should ask. Totally.
Yeah, these are excellent.
These are fucking phenomenal. Who am I? Where am I? What is my current goal? What motivates me? How do I reach my goal? What is in the way of my goal? Just like think about that for any character. It doesn't matter what character it is. Hero, villain, fucking random dude. Like quite literally, it works universally, which is fantastic.
Yes. Whether you are the DM or a player, consider answering every single one of those for a character that is going to be at all important.
Yes. Like if you write a character and like it's actually if it's not just some random NPC they meet on the road that has nothing to do with anything, if it's an actual main character, say like a king or an innkeeper or a blacksmith that they know they're going to have a lot of dealings with, this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's an example. Who am I? Bob. Where am I? My farm. What is my current goal? To eat. What motivates me? Fear of starvation. What is my goal? Walk over there and pick up a fucking carrot. What is in the way of my goal? That fence. There you go.
It's as simple as that.
It really is.
But legitimately, this is such. Ooh, this is
It's
such
so
a better.
good.
This is
excellent.
such a better fucking character thing. Ah!
An encounter with Bob the farmer becomes, as you're wandering along the road, seeing the clear blue skies
Mm-hmm.
and hearing the twitter of birdsong in the nearby trees,
Mm-hmm.
you notice a strange character. There seems to be a a farmer in very simple homespun fabric, a wide-brimmed straw hat, and he's looking furtively around to try to make sure that he's not seen. He doesn't seem to notice you, but after pausing and looking around for a few moments and trying very poorly to act casual, you see him hop a fence, quickly sprint over to a row of carrots, grab one, run back across the fence, pole vault around it, quickly dust it off and take a huge bite before walking back onto the road, at which point he sees you and is now staring, mouthful of carrot, eyes bulging.
It's a whole
I
fucking
didn't want to
scene.
starve.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's not my fault. I don't have enough to eat.
And
Right.
that right there,
Like-
that's a memorable character.
And it's a
just
whole-
a fucking farmer
and-
who's eating a goddamn carrot.
Exactly. And then you have a whole scene with him and you figure out about Bob, and then maybe your players are like, I'm gonna execute Bob, or maybe I'm going to give Bob
the paladin will go, you stole that carrot. The rogue will be like, hey, you stole that carrot. You're pretty good at that.
Yeah,
the fighter's
exactly.
like, ugh, me dumb fighter.
me
No.
no speak outside combat.
I hope fucking not. Get out.
But like you could even do if you're unsure of how to deal with random NPCs, have like a table where
Oh,
you
yeah.
can roll like 1 through 10 and
fact-
answer all of these questions, and you could rapid fire make an NPC real quick.
In
They
f-
even have guidelines in the DM's guide.
I would say there's the DM's guide. I think Xanathar's has good tables as well that you can use.
I'm actually legitimately writing this shit down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, this is something you should take home with you, and you should fucking just think about, right?
Well, joke's on you, I'm already at home.
Same.
Ah.
But yeah, no, legitimately, this is fucking good. Fucking good. Oh, it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Runesmith, why are you so good?
Right? Like, man. All right. Let's...
Run a D&D game that I can play in, please.
Right? That'd be cool.
Oh, go back. I didn't get them all.
Oh, sorry.
I'll watch it later. No,
No,
I'll watch
no,
it
you're
later.
good. You're good.
Fine.
Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
Okay. No. It's me.
There you are, folks.
You can just put big
Roll.
old fear on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Instead of all this, just put fear.
Mhm.
Okay, there we go. I got
Fucking
it.
hate that.
I'll reword it later. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
got the general.
Yeah.
Who am I? Where am I? Fear. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's unfortunately that's what fucking we watched that time. Ah.
Guys, for creating NPCs on the fly, please remember the fear method. First, establish who and where they are. What are
Yeah.
their motivations? 2, establish something unique about the character, something that is so that sets them apart from the rest.
Yeah.
3, actualize the character. Does this character make sense? 4, run with the character.
Are you reading the actual fucking PDF?
What?
Are you reading the fear PDF?
Wait, no. But
Okay, that's what we thought
I
you were
just
doing.
bullshitted all that.
No, okay, alright, yeah. Alright.
No, Cody didn't have the fear method.
No. No, why
Fear
would he?
was his method, but he did not have the fear method.
Ugh.
Oh,
I am a
God.
method actor. I scream.
But yes, that is an excellent way for you to
Yes.
visualize your acting, quote unquote. Like, remember, you don't have to have a funny voice, right? You don't have to worry about all that stuff. You can just have that be a character that they interact with.
Now,
They can
actually,
all sound the
now that I look at this,
Mhm.
if you're depending on the kind of character that you're writing with
Sure.
this method, I would say actually add, instead of just doing who am I, where am I,
Mhm.
current goal, motivation,
Mhm.
way to reach the goal, and what's in the way of the goal, I would add backstory depending on how important the character is.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that can be a very important. It can be in a very important way of fleshing out why they're trying to get to their goal.
Absolutely. It can flavor all of their decisions. It can do a whole bunch. That is again for those important characters. Absolutely.
Yes.
I would say so. Cuz like Bob on the farm, I mean, Bob was
He's
on
not
the
that
farm,
important.
right?
He's good at carrot stealing. But,
Right. He's a good
not
carrot
that
stealer.
important.
Maybe he's like the intermediary before you get to the actual guy who's got the thing, right? But
And here's the thing. You got it.
Yep.
Bob's backstory.
yeah.
He was infected with rabbit lycanthropy.
Oh.
Bam!
See,
Sure.
I was gonna say that that's the hook for the quest, and when the party gets to town, they find on the quest board that a lot of
Carrots
rabbit
have been-
infestations have been popping up,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
people assume this because a lot of produce has gone missing.
Yeah, exactly.
When in fact there are no rabbits. Bob's just really hungry.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole thing. Again, it depends on the situation. Absolutely. But I agree.
Wonderful.
Having the backstory there would be nothing but beneficial.
Yeah, wonderful method he's got.
Yes.
I have created before a small hamlet of 22 people, each of which was fully named and had like like a web connecting them
Sure.
with everyone else in terms of family, who likes who gossiped about who,
That makes sense.
what was the gossip, who has a crush on who, yada yada
Mhm.
yada. And like it was real fun to do. But in terms of like actuality, the party interacted with like 10 of those people.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like honestly interacting with maybe 2 of those people is hoping for like like that's the bar, right?
Yeah.
2 people, that's the bar. If they go above that, oh man, we had a day. We made a day of it. I fucking, I went home and I had a big smile on my face, everything, right?
And like it's still something that I don't really fully regret, because
Oh, sure.
it did definitely flavor how the NPCs that they did talk to, it did change how they acted.
Mhm.
Because they're like, oh man, you haven't been talking to Edern, haven't you?
Exactly.
And they're like, what? No. And then like do a quick roll, and he's like, okay. And had I not made him hate his like the rival hunter in town, that interaction would never have happened.
Mm.
But it did definitely create a doorway for there to be a special interaction.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
That would have been like more organic. So like moving forward, won't do it again probably. But I don't regret doing so.
No, and it's definitely not a bad thing to do.
Mhm.
It's absolutely, again, just beneficial. It will benefit you, and more so because sometimes they won't even stop. They're just gonna go through and never meet any of those 22 people to 200 people that you made.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter that the baby has a name and that his motivation is food.
Yes.
And that his twin brother is Dantas and his name is Virgile.
Oh god damn it.
Yeah. For
Fill
every
that dark soul with light.
Oh god. Mother. Their first words. But yeah, for every location you have, I would recommend having 1, maybe 2 NPCs, depending upon the size of the location.
Mhm.
Have those NPCs have names. Have them be something notable, whether it's they're constantly running late, or they're suspicious, or they've maybe had a bad day when you happen to show up. Establish something to actualize them and cement them in the world.
Mhm.
Allow that to change,
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
and make sure that everyone has something that motivates them.
Yes.
It can literally be something as simple as I have a family and I want to provide for them.
Yeah.
As such, I am greedy. That's totally fine for like a merchant.
Yeah.
Use the authority you're given. A lot of people get huge egos when they have the final say on certain things and end up ridiculously selfish. These guys are the reasons that we all have D&D horror stories, like that one copy pasta that I probably won't be able to find about the dungeon master who kept trying to hinder the players, and then he ended up getting the cops called on him because he wouldn't leave. Fuck that guy. What I've learned about being the big guy who makes the important choices is just two things. When you inevitably end up butting heads with someone else, control your emotions and look at the dispute objectively.
Yes.
If you're doing something just because you have the ability to, and no one else is benefiting from it, then kindly fuck off. And secondly, know your goal. Don't waste time following the rules if it gets in the way of your goal, unless your goal is to follow the rules. But I find the best goal, and probably the least bias, is simply telling a good story. Would you look at that segue?
Good. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Your authority does not make you... I mean, even though everyone jokingly calls you God, don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, don't let it go to your head. You're way more powerful than the gods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have a story about a DM who was who literally had himself be the main deity of every religion and everyone worshipped him.
Ugh.
Like, by name.
Ugh.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That actually brings up something that
it's one of those Crit Crab videos.
Oh, it is? Oh, God.
Yeah. Dude, like, you need to watch those. They're so good.
Dude, I just, sometimes
Do you want to, like, fold into yourself in Cringe?
No!
Kind of, yeah.
But also, yes!
That's like a rather interesting
Do you want to grab the collar of your shirt and yank it with such force?
You want me to take the collar of my shirt and go yee? Is that what you? Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I want you to do that with so much force that the yee becomes a yeet.
Fair enough. Okay. But this actually that actually brings something to attention that I want to ask. So I've seen multiple instances of people having moments in their games where they have, I don't know, seen the numbers. Like they know themselves to be a character, right? The character knows that they're a character, and they then see the player controlling that for like a second, or some reason they know about the DM, right? He is the god in that instance, right? There's also he is worshipped, right?
He's Azathoth, basically.
Right.
No one knows who he is, and the entire universe is his imagination.
What even, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of now more so leaning towards, like, that just kind of brings me out of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
it's super just kind of makes me go, I don't know about that.
It's
Right?
because it's metagaming in the strongest sense.
Right, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
Especially when you then have a character, like, literally I read a D&D green text on the subreddit, and I was like, it was like, the character learned about the DM, started worshiping the DM, right? Because he was the only one who had seen him. But it wasn't because the DM wanted to be worshipped. It was just the fact of, like, he saw him and he then knew that there was a power that controlled everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then he then would worship that. And I'm over here going, if I was in that game, I'd get really tired of that really quick.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know how, like, that, I guess this is more of a subjective, that's fun for some people, which is fine.
Yeah.
Sure, if you're having fun with it and your table isn't going, right, every time.
Yeah.
If that's not happening, then good for you guys, I'm glad. But personally, I just don't see the appeal anymore.
Yeah.
I really do not like breaking the fourth wall in D&D.
Yeah.
It can be good in some media, but man, oh man, is it like neck like tinglingly bad for me in D&D.
Sure. Like
even the green text of when someone like rolls what was it, like the max nat 20 on perception check when there was no need for a perception check, and the person was like, you notice that the world seems to stretch out flat in front of you instead of how it was before.
Oh my god.
Your friends all look sort of plasticky and still,
What?
and you notice these giants sitting at a table talking and
Oh
chatting,
God.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, boy oh boy, that gives me anxiety.
That's so.
Yeah.
Why would you? Why? From
Now-
a
It was
nat
the DM
20?
Yeah,
was
no,
the
you would
D-
need like a nat a billion.
Yeah.
it was the DM trying to be slick and being like, don't try to do don't roll for something, and then being like, oh, I have a perception check in this empty field. It, like, that's not really an approach to take,
I was gonna
and
say.
B, that doesn't make sense for like what an at 20 is,
Right.
and C, God, don't break the fourth wall.
It's
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
So now
Ah.
you don't like breaking the fourth wall, but how do you feel about references to things?
well. See, there's a
Like, and
fine
I mean
line.
in the game world. I mean.
Absolutely, there's a fine line. I would say.
Yeah. If-
Because like
it ca-
I've had it multiple times where people just reference something of like that's happened in real life, and I'm like, ha ha ha, okay,
Yeah,
right? It's fine.
it's a little ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, but like, just don't be overbearing with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Don't have the crazy artificer be running around saying wubba lubba dub dub.
Oh
Ugh.
yeah, no.
Ah
Christ.
ah ah
Don't you mean yee?
ah. No, I mean ah.
God. Kind of want to do that.
That's
'Cause, like,
So
I just imagine
cringy.
you're walking through a forest and you see a crazy old man with white hair and a little kid with I don't even fucking remember what color is Morty's hair? Brown?
brown.
Redhead?
Yeah, brown.
Yeah, you see him like open up a green portal, but before they leave, you hear wubba
See,
wubba dub dub.
I
on the
could
wind.
see you doing that if you're playing the Rick and Morty D&D thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That would make sense, and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Right. But like,
As with all things, there is a time and a setting.
yes.
Yeah. And
And-
Rick and Morty is in all times and all things.
That's what happens when you are 40,000 IQ.
My
Yeah.
brain, it's in the galaxy. Ugh.
Because honestly, the reason why I ask that
Yeah.
is because in my material plane world, I actually do have one reference to something out of D&D planned.
Oh, that's fine.
It's not super overbearing, and honestly, I think it's gonna get a lot of laughs.
Oh, sure.
Because it's not gonna have any impact on anything. It's literally just there to be hey, that's cool, and that's it.
Yeah, sure.
You can absolutely throw in references as a DM, but as with all things, diminishing returns
Yes.
is the name of the game.
Yes. Exactly.
And don't be too overt, and it should be a reference should be noticed, not stated.
Yes. And the other thing is like, for the point that I was making of like when you fucking take me out of the world saying you're all just character sheets, right? Well, so if your character, I mean, let's be honest, D&D, gods exist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in a setting where it's like low magic, low god, right? People are like, there's a god, right? There are gods, but they don't really interact too much, right? And like one of your characters believes that they're being controlled by outside forces, and like that's like their thing. Like that's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's not overtly going.
Established.
Yeah, that's not overtly going, we're controlled by giant people rolling weird cubes, right? Like that's not okay.
See, now actually, I would find that even slightly okay.
It's better
in one situation.
Yeah.
You wander into a big fucking city and you're in the slums and you hear this
Oh,
fucking
sure.
crazy guy.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That
you're fucking stupid.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's the only time.
Yeah.
I
Because
would
I mean, those
even
people
go
exist in our fucking reality, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Dude, Dude, have you ever heard of cube theory? It's a thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the time cube also. Like, come on.
Yeah, well,
Frederick
that's cube theory.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Time cube.
Down the rabbit hole.
I think. Yeah. I think I showed you guys that.
Yep.
I think that.
Really good.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's really good. Anyway.
And I would even go so far as to say that I would allow a character, like I think it was I think Boo mentioned this, where like if there is a character who is always kind of like unhinged to begin with, and had what that character interpreted as a revelation from a higher being, and then they start going around spouting like, "Oh, but we're controlled by giants." I would kind of like have a bit of a grimace, but I'd be like, "Yeah, we can work with this."
Yeah.
However, if someone like if I sat down for a D&D campaign, and someone was like, "My character believes that this reality is an illusion, and that we are all in the game,"
Right.
much like Alejo, we have both had someone do in a campaign. It was in the sci-fi one.
Oh.
The character that believed she was in a video game. Yeah, and boy, did that not turn out well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw how that character was going to end.
I honestly didn't pay attention at all.
I tried not to.
And I didn't remember it either, so all right. You know. Yeah, no, it again. And if your group is fine with it, that's fine. You know?
Yeah.
Again, this is just for us.
Your mileage may vary.
Quite literally, and I've said it, I even said it before, like I was somewhat okay with it before, I guess. It's not until like further thinking about it and seeing more and more things where I'm like, now I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Right.
Just know that again, if you don't agree with us, then you're wrong, and you're playing an inferior version of D&D, and your fun is in fact wrong.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
We're 100% serious all the time.
Yes.
We never joke.
We are the standard by which D&D was created.
Exactly.
Matt Mercer comes to us for tips.
Yeah. Exactly.
The Mercer effect, more like the TableTalk effect. Am I right?
Yeah, and we never say that any content is like we ever agree with it. We always bash all of it. We haven't said that any of the points in this video are any good. Obviously, we haven't done that.
They're not from us.
Yeah, they're not from us. So somebody someday is going to use that.
Oh yeah,
and then
we're never going to be able to run for office.
But no, legitimately, I can see like somebody someday the internet just like they see that and they're like, "Ooh, these guys." I would fucking laugh.
I know.
Fucking laugh.
That's a great segue. Storytelling isn't something I can sum up really quick, and honestly, I don't have a direct piece of advice for it outside of just experience. I do suggest reading fantasy books with good descriptions to better understand how to narrate. Visualize each scene that you run, emphasize the 5 senses, and make each character or NPC that you run realistic. It's a tough skill to master, but even just analyzing characters and plot points in movies and stuff can help you hone your skill. Or just watch Spider-Verse like 2 times and take notes.
Yeah.
Skill number 4, invent.
Right? Yeah. No, legitimately, like that's a good point. Storytelling is something that is experience.
Yes.
Does anyone here have any recommendations for any good fantasy series?
I mean, Lord of the Rings all the way, my dude. Like
when I was real young, I loved the Dragonlance books.
Everyone says that.
I like them.
No, it's good.
I personally would heavily recommend the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss.
Yes. I've read one of those. They're great.
Yeah. Oh man, they're so good. And as a matter of fact, I'm starting my second go through.
Nice.
And yeah, the King Killer Chronicles has definitely changed the way that I portray the world, primarily because I adore the way that Rothfuss like describes even tiny little things,
Mm.
such as like a baby deciding whether or not it wants to cry based on the fact that like two adults are taking care of it
Mm-hmm.
and neither of those adults is its mother,
Right.
and how the baby pauses with hesitation before deciding that yes, in fact, it would like to cry.
Sure.
Um, and stuff like that. I personally struggle with describing all five senses.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
I try to consciously make sure I describe smell, and I can usually compensate for not being very good at describing sound, aside from straight up telling you what you are here, what you
Right.
hear.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's really difficult to describe
There's a
or
fine line for
recreate
that.
sounds in a
Yes.
fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the ways I personally compensate for that is I will try to find sounds that I want to describe ahead of time,
Mm.
and based on their proximity to the sound or whether or not there's like an obstacle between them and the sound,
Mhm.
I will play that sound, and then either make it quieter or louder.
Mhm.
So if they're walking up to a tavern, I'll start like tavern music really quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I lead up to describing the tavern, I'll occasionally make it louder on my computer, and then when they walk in through the tavern doors, I'll jump it up to full volume.
Absolutely. Yeah. I for one of the things that I did for a little while until couldn't do it anymore. I would use my laptop and I would play like background music.
Mhm.
That was more so sound. It's there's a channel actually that I use. Let me see if I can find it.
Soundscapes.
Yeah. Sword Coast Soundscapes.
That's it.
Yeah. It's
They
really
have a lot of great sounds.
really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely recommend.
And they're all most of their tracks are like 3 hours long. So
Yes.
it's perfect.
It's
built,
fucking
it is
great.
built for D&D.
Yes, it is. It is fucking fantastic. That is one of the ones that I would use, and then
You ought to link that in the description or something.
Yeah. Oh, I will absolutely. The the other thing that I would say is it's not fantasy. I read a lot of Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is a horror / thriller writer. He being from Maine, I have never read a Stephen King book.
I have tried. I made it 2 pages in, and that was it.
I just have never tried because I gravitated towards Koontz for some reason and haven't stopped. But he also is very descriptive. Very, very, very descriptive about just scenes in general, which I very much appreciate because he just goes into detail about even the slightest thing that should not matter.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good.
I would rather be given 5 things to take note of.
Yes.
Of which only 1 or maybe none is important.
Exactly.
Than given none, or even worse, only given details that are super important.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that is something else that I would recommend.
I think something else that should be noted though, if we go back to the 5 senses.
Oh, sure.
Describing all 5 senses can be very difficult all the time and for everything, and so that can become quite cumbersome. I would say, first off, top priority is what they see. Second would be what they hear. Third is what they feel.
Okay.
Fourth is what they taste. Fifth is what they smell. Unless they are in a particularly scented environment. If they're just out in a forest, it can be as simple as saying the ground and the air smells very earthy and loamy.
Sure.
However, if they're in a sewer or a harbor town, you go into more detail about what they smell because they smell the filth. They smell they smell the mold and like rotting vegetation. If they're in a harbor city, they smell smell the scent of the sea spray and the fish and cooking fish, raw
they
fish,
hear
birds.
they hear the fishmongers selling their wares,
Exactly.
and as they walk up to that alley, they will also start to smell that.
Yes,
totally.
It's mostly, and the reason why I say that is because in the real world, your sense of smell most times is fairly dulled because your brain tunes it out. Unless you're smelling something noteworthy. If you smell a flower, you obviously pick that up. If you smell something disgusting, you pick it up. If you smell something delicious, you pick it up. But if you're just walking through town or driving your car, sitting in your room, obviously your room is going to smell like, I don't know, your clothes or you.
Yeah,
but if you sit in there long enough and you just hang around long enough, you don't smell anything.
Absolutely.
Because your brain just tunes it out. So,
or like your pillow, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that. So describe smells softly in environments where there's not much to smell, and then very strongly when there's lots of different things to smell.
So that's a very good way to put it, actually.
I personally, I actually rate them differently in terms of the order of how important they are. Number one is, of course, sight, and number two is, of course, sound. I personally have a fairly sensitive nose,
Okay.
so I describe sense third usually, because I'm at most times usually smelling something.
True.
Like I'm fiddling with a lockpick right now, and I can smell the iron on my fingers.
Yeah.
And then after that, taste fourth, or sorry, no, taste would be fifth because you don't taste
Because
your
it's
mouth.
the least common, technically.
Yeah. And then fourth is feel, and typically only if they're like walking into like a muddy forest or something like that.
Right, yeah. I would say that feeling is usually like a lower priority, because usually if you're feeling something, you are actively going and feeling something. Because if you're just walking around, you feel, I mean, you're walking around, right? There's nothing really noteworthy unless there is.
Unless it's like a cobblestone, like a rough cobblestone road, or muddy swampland, or soft snowbanks.
Which I feel like if you describe that, they then feel that, like they will know what that feels like.
Exactly.
Unless something notable is happening to their feeling, right?
Another reason why I like to sort of bump smell up there is because the sense of smell is like one of the senses that is most strongly linked to memory.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And like that can be a fantastic way of like rehashing character background.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Inventing.
It's too much fun just to make your own magic items, cities, planets with unique gravity, and a bunch of other nonsense. Who doesn't want to make their own stuff? But you do have to find a fine line between world building and what's actually important and related to the story and the players. You are essentially an architect of fun, and you shouldn't build a bunch of bloatware your players have to slog through to find the story, which I failed to do in the game that I run. But I'm learning. And lastly, the thing that got...
So yeah, I agree.
Very succinct.
Yeah, I agree fully.
Yeah.
You can, as a DM, absolutely throw in a couple red herrings.
Oh, sure.
Because they act fantastically at making you seem like you've developed everything super ahead of time. The Ministry of Magic in Harry Potter is a fantastic example of this if you read the books.
Right.
Because there's so many weird, random little magical objects that serve absolutely no purpose than the line that they're on in that page.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a small amount of swinging the fight. However, they did do a fantastic job at making the fight seem like it occurred in a realistic like gathering hub for wizards.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're totally gonna find some weird random shit.
me into D&D is writing. I've learned a lot about descriptions, focal points, character development, what's valuable and what isn't, and how little work you actually need to do to set up for a session when you figure out how to improvise. Here's my session 1 notes for Tesseract. Here's the port town that they were in and the dungeon that they went to. Now here's my notes for the most recent game. Here's my script for this video. Yeah, I hit the spacebar a lot. It helps because I have a really small brain, and I can only read 1 sentence at a time. I'll say the same thing that the introduction of the Dungeon Master's Guide says. You'll enjoy some of these aspects more than others. Focus on what you enjoy, and find what you're good at. And downplay the rest. They're all part of it, but each game is formed by what you want to put into it. And each one is fun as hell as long as you're playing it the way that you enjoy it. Look at that ending. That was really abrupt. Here's some patron.
I love his videos, dude. They're great.
Pretty good.
Dude, RuneSmith is so good.
Yeah. I've so enjoyed watching his channel grow. Very fun. But yes, absolutely. Fucking what you put in is what you will get. And if you want specific things, you talk to your players and go like, what are you looking for? You know, what kind of character are you thinking about? What do you think their goals would be? You know, have some conversation. Get that all in there. You know?
There's actually, I'll send it to you, Alejo, and you can decide if you want to bring it on screen or not.
Okay.
Is to his channel. There we go. There is a message I sent to my group's group chat. Some players may, I don't know, find it interesting to, as a way of establishing, how to put this? Some prospective DMs may take inspiration from this as a way of setting expectations, in session 0.
We'll copy paste because if I have to move this, it'll fuck everything up.
All right. At least personally, when it comes to my group, getting actual feedback in terms of, oh, I like this. Oh, I disliked this. I want to see more of this is like pulling fucking teeth with them. And I end typically every session with thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns, and I just get, it's good. And I'm like, thanks, guys.
Right. Yeah. That's fair.
I think that's probably. I think it's a little bit of your players just being like, I don't want to say anything was bad.
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I'm like, please tell me what was bad, and they're like, it was good, and I'm like,
right. Exactly.
Come on. Feedback.
I cannot improve without criticism.
Yes, exactly. There we go. There, it's on screen for you. If you want to pause and read it, go for it. All right. Yeah. So that's. I mean, fucking. That's a good, nice.
That's an excellent video.
Yes,
excellent.
Absolutely,
fantastic.
Fucking excellent. It's a 7-minute video, 7-minute 48-second video, or actually 7-minute, really 20-something second video because this has Patreons at the end. But it is succinct. It is short. It is nice. It gets you right where you need to go, and it doesn't fucking waffle, and it doesn't make bad points of like, or it doesn't make bad points, and it doesn't try to make points out of nothing.
Yeah. And nothing is worded really fucking stupidly where we have to like watch it 5 times.
Exactly. Very good.
So, okay, I have a question. Since that's pretty much everything for that video, we agree with it, we love it.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be possible to do just one comedy video, could we?
Well, we're going to take an intermission first.
Okay.
Because I've been needing to use the bathroom for like a half an hour now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I need to get some water.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a short break here. We'll meet back up, and everything will be good.
Okay, cool. All right.
Welcome
maybe.
back. Welcome back to Table Talk. Yeah, we're gonna watch a couple of we're gonna watch something that's gonna make me want to die.
Yep.
Maybe.
Tell us whose voice you heard welcoming you back, because God knows I won't hear it.
You fucking... I know whose voice it is gonna be next too. Because yours was the one before.
Wait, was mine used on the last one?
Yeah, yours was used on 6. This is 7. Yeah.
We're 7 episodes in.
Yeah, dude.
It's the 7th anniversary.
That's not how that works. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask which one did you use, and then I realized that the best response for you would have been you'd have to listen to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's how I was with my own content for so long. Like, I don't want to watch this shit.
See,
I listen to podcasts when I'm like driving to school.
Yeah,
and it's going to be so weird if I show up on school
you're listening,
and I'm listening to a podcast of myself.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
I honestly, I want to make content that I would want to listen to or watch, and I am happy to say that this is content that I would like to listen to or watch.
That's good.
So, like, legitimately, this is probably the most fulfilling thing that I've been doing for like a while, which is great. But yeah, I literally showed this to one of my friends, and he started listening to it with me there, and I was like, yeah, nice. And I started just kind of going like remembering what it was like during that session, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, and I wasn't like cringing or anything, so I was happy.
Oh man.
But yes, we're gonna cringe now.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cringy anime Catwoman tries to seduce DM IRL, not safe for work. This is by
fuck off.
Yeah, if you're at work, well, you better be listening to this in your fucking headphones, shouldn't you?
And if you're listening to this on the subway without headphones, buy headphones.
Yeah, you dick.
I'm not going to tell you to stop listening to the podcast, but I will request you get out at the next stop to buy headphones.
And if you are under the age of 18 and have not heard the word fuck before, well, you have now.
Well, you have now, exactly. This content is not made
minutes.
for children. I ticked that really box. I tick that box every time because fucking YouTube.
It's meant for man children.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
And woman children.
Exactly. What is the channel?
Wallies?
Ooh, already. Ooh.
Ooh,
what is the channel that this is from again?
Crit Crab.
Crit Crab. All right.
Thank you, Crit Crab.
Thank you, Crit Crab. And thank you to RuneSmith and XP to level 3, by the way. We haven't said this already from the first few videos. They're
both
good.
Gorgeous.
They're good.
Hello everybody, Crit Crab here with another story. This one caused me to vomit painfully and violently. Will definitely be the cringiest one yet.
Right.
So put down your airships and your will to live and let's get right into this. Roll post. Well guys, this is the only real horror story I have, and unfortunately it is one completely suited to Valentine's Day, although in an utterly twisted manner. Very NSFW. The whole situation was bizarre, unexpected, and came completely out of nowhere in a rapid and complete fiery implosion of the group that rivaled the Hindenburg in terms of suddenness and sheer scale of catastrophic collapse.
All right.
So sit back, dear reader, and indulge this tale of deceit, coercion, questionable sexual appetite, breakups, and of course, cringe. Lots and lots of cringe.
Just give me a second. I need to.
I need to pop myself a new soda.
I need to just fucking just brace myself because I don't cringe much, honestly.
Gonna get myself nice and comfy because I've listened to this video. Grab myself a nice blanket.
I'm so glad that I'm going to be posting a video you guys haven't seen. Because I died when I watched it the first time.
All right,
so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, all right. I hope we have lots to talk about, because I don't want to be a reaction channel.
The cast consists of, names changed, me, DM.
Cool.
Dave, my roommate, playing a half-orc fighter, was not present for the session in question, relevant later.
Oh, that's
Annie, Dave's girlfriend, playing a halfling cleric. Rich, a friend of mine and Dave's, playing a zany gnome sorcerer. Trish, the problem player, playing a fox folk reskin tabaxi bard, because of course she bloody was. She could also never quite decide whether this person was more cat or more fox or both. It was weird.
Okay. I want to make sure that we're not a reaction channel, right? Because we have something to say. Because I do have something to say. In this case
No, go on.
Okay. I just want to say if you're reskinning your races to fit,
then cut your hands off. No.
Well, absolutely, obviously cut your hands off, but also that is something that is I find good to do.
Yeah.
It is definitely something that should, I feel like, obviously 5th hasn't been out long enough. Well, I don't know actually if it's been out long enough to rival 3.5 and its many races.
I don't think it has.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the run length of both so far. But
3.5 was around for like 10 years or so.
Okay.
5e's been around for like 5 or 6.
Okay. All right. So they have time, but they probably won't do that, which is unfortunate. But absolutely, if not, if your DM is okay with it, remember you have to run this by them if you want to use any kind of homebrew content, because there is a lot that is out there that is really rather good and rather like well put together. The Unearthed Arcana subreddit is a place where people post their homebrews, not Unearthed Arcana shit, thankfully, unless something new comes out in which they put that there. Unless you're exactly. But there is a shit ton of stuff on there. In fact, we even have something on there that I posted.
I was hoping you were gonna say that.
Yeah, a long time ago, and I will link it in the description. We made the Astral Sorcerer, the Astral Origin Sorcerer. Us and one other, our friend Mike. And we sat down and we fucking banged that shit out. It took us 7 hours, my dude. It was great.
Went to bed at like 4 a.m.
It was
totally worth it.
It was so much fun. Oh my fucking god.
And to put it in a nutshell, it's a sorcerer whose origin is like the origin magic is the magic that's residual in the universe, not just the world. Like space magic, essentially.
Yes. And you use the signs of the zodiac.
Yep.
Yes. So you become the Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you do.
I was gonna say, boy, oh boy, was that class a pain in the ass to make.
It was so much fun.
It was fun. It was fun, but like.
But fuck astrology, man.
Yeah.
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 I think it was Mike recommended like using like the zodiac signs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I was just going off of like just space stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it was a combination of all of us, dude. It was fucking great. And it took and this is the thing. It took for those people who do it on their own, fucking props, dude. It took 4 of us. It took 4 people to do this. And like I in any game that I am now running, I'm like, this is a thing, you can use it if you want to because it's there. And we tested that shit to
I didn't realize that you were putting it in your own games.
That's awesome. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. That plus the astral like dragonborn. Yeah.
Yeah.
The astral dragons I don't have I do have statted, but I don't have the sheets up basically. Yeah. That's a thing that I still need to work on. Which I'm almost done with, but I've been putting off for like months. But yeah, there's a link there. We might go over it sometime, just on the stream. If we ever like sit down and do something like, or not stream, hello, podcast. We might actually go through with this, like maybe make something. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe at some point we might make something together.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of this, at some point we need to get my jungle savage warrior.
Yeah, I still have the notes.
Like an actual thing.
I still have the notes, and I think I
still have all the abilities and the leveling and stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway,
we can maybe go over that on the podcast at some point. Do 2 birds with 1 stone, you know. But yeah, so cool stuff. Just remember to run it by your DM.
So, we cast our minds back to days of yore, 2013. I was at university, and we were playing 3.5e D&D. For context, I'm not really the typical nerd archetype. I'm fairly tall, fairly muscular, and my biggest interest outside TTRPGs, science, maths, nerdy movies, and video games is playing rugby, and I was on the university team. I am, or was, being an adult sucks, something of a socialite. I like to host parties, I love being the center of attention, I love singing. In short, my highest IRL stat is charisma. My lowest, apparently, is wisdom. Yes, I am a dude, bro. Yes, the exact stereotype you're currently thinking of.
Alright. Well,
after one such get-together in my place, which was inevitably always a strange mix of guys from the rugby team, my course mates, I studied physics, and my flatmates, their mates, etc. Myself, Dave, and Annie were talking. I suggested the idea of running a D&D game, and they were both into it.
Fuck yeah.
Neither of them had played before, but Dave informed me that our mutual friend Rich played, which I didn't know. And Annie said that she had a friend that would be super excited to join because she was obsessed with TTRPGs.
Uh-oh.
Enter Trish.
Okay, so first, before we get there, hey, D&D is made out of everybody, every single person. Doesn't matter who they are, whatever stereotype they might be.
Whatever happened to beardy boys in the basement?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we covered that video of like it used to be. No.
Shocker.
Man, I've seen some screenshots of some of his tweets recently, and like, but that aside, yeah, if you want to have a social experience with people that are of different crowds, I per se, cliques, if you will, suggest D&D, dude. Fucking great. It brings everybody together. It's fucking great. No, you cannot say that no one does not want to play. Sorry, okay, let me phrase this better so that it's easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
It is impossible to say that no one wants to play a different character or like somebody that's not themselves.
Nobody wants to play a different character or someone who's not themselves.
I hate you.
Yeah, and like, actually, you know
narcissists.
what?
Okay, all right, but they can do that in the game, right?
One of the things that was really surprising is that I forgot to do that. Anyway, I was working at my job, and this woman came through the checkout line, and she had some really weird looking. She had really weird bottles of detergent. It was just a really interesting shaped bottle of detergent and a really weird kind of flashy cap, and it was just an interesting shape.
Cool.
And I was like, are there any more of these left? And she's like, yeah, I think there's a few left. It's like, oh, okay, I want to get it for like a really weird reason. And she's like, oh, really? What's the reason? And I'm like, and this was a woman who was like, I don't know, late 30s, maybe early 40s. She's a mother.
Okay.
Obviously. And I'm like, yeah, well, you ever heard of Dungeons and Dragons? I'm like, yeah, I have. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So even this late 30s, early 40s mother knows what it is. And she was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I guarantee you, if you have any friends and maybe even some people that you just kind of know cordially, but you get along with well, if you invite them to a D&D game, I guarantee you they'll probably be at least somewhat interested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the local police department where I am, one of the police officers is an avid D&D fan and huge nerd.
Nice.
And it made it onto the Instagram story of one of I believe it was the cop in question, I guess you could say, playing D&D on the clock.
Nice.
And his boss, the detective, being like, "What are you guys doing? Get back to work."
Yeah, I actually had the I went into a hole in the wall restaurant that was goodness, I think it was, I don't remember, but I was in there and I was talking to the lady who runs it, and we were talking about D&D, one of my friends and I, because we were going to go there right after, because we were just kind of hanging out and having lunch, and yeah, the woman who ran it was like, so what is this like? Like, how do you how do you play that? What happens, right? Is it a game? And she started asking questions, and she was interested, but she was also like, I don't understand how you could do that for 3 hours. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, it's really fun. Right, and we were trying to get it, and it's people have interest, and once you get them to a point of like they understand how it works, of like, because it's really weird if you think about it. Yeah, like I come over to somebody's house and I go, "Hey, I'm gonna be an elf," and they're like, "Okay." Right, and then you start telling a story together, and you don't do anything other than sit around and talk and occasionally roll a few bits of plastic. Yeah. That's definitely strange, absolutely, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's really fucking fun.
And like anybody can enjoy that shit.
Yes.
I've had conversations with some of my coworkers about like D&D in general, who like she didn't understand what was going on, and I'm like explaining to them what a DM is, like how he creates basically a world and starts describing it, and yada yada yada. And since then, she has had no desire to actually play, but she is interested in keeping up. She works alongside one of my players, and usually every Monday he fills her in on what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun.
Because of like D&D becoming more mainstream, it's easier than ever to get new players to join and like give things a go.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest difficulty with getting people to get into the hobby is it can be avoided, but it will make your games a little bit tougher to run. Really, it's the cost of the books.
Yeah.
Because the books are expensive.
Yeah.
And
just like any good TTRPG, though.
Yeah. But you can avoid it by having one book, like the DM who has just all the books, and like you pass it around, but that does make it significantly slower when everybody doesn't have their own book to look at.
Yes. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully it inspires them to pick up a copy, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you have a player that's been playing for a while, like I think most of my players all own a copy of their own, and at least one of them always has his because we play at his house, and I also make a habit out of bringing mine.
Yeah, I do too. It's important. I have a copy of that. I have a copy of my monster manual, and I have the DMG, just in case, right? Those are the core 3 books.
Yes.
I know exactly how much my backpack weighs with like everything in it. And if the weight of my backpack is off, I'm like, what am I forgetting?
Yeah,
what am I missing?
Absolutely. Like legitimately, I don't take anything out of my backpack anymore. And I used to walk to my friend's house to run the sessions. So I'm walking with like 6 or 7 books in my back. It's great. It's fucking heavy.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was a fucking sweaty mess. It's gross. I am not healthy.
Hey guys.
Yes, that is me. Hello.
I will. As I do recall, you do have a beard.
I do. Yes, most of the time.
You
longer hair,
sweaty,
beard.
Boy.
Yep, I am the sweaty, beardy boy.
Yep. All right. Anyway,
I've been putting it off. All right, here we go. Ugh.
Trish was the only person who attended that I didn't know, which naturally made her something of a wild card. But being the sociable person I was, this didn't bother me at all. And when I first met her, all seemed fine. She was lively and excitable. Her and Annie both did practical effects design, and she was artsy and enthusiastic, with a real twinkle in her eye, which I would realize all too late wasn't a twinkle, but the barely perceptible electrical feedback which indicated the short-circuiting of the sanity wires in her brain. I thought she would be a joy to have at the table rolling dice with us. If I had only known the depth of the anime love interest complex she apparently had, I might have realized that the rattling noise wasn't her dice tower, but the loose marbles rattling around in her skull. So anyway, from the very first session, the group was great, and everyone's characters were fun, if a little tropey. This is why I didn't bat an eyelid at Trish playing up that bard and hitting on every NPC. We all had a good laugh about it, and I responded with NPCs flirting, or not flirting, in the exact same manner as they would with Dave's character, who often tried his luck, to all of our amusement, with his -1 charisma checks. Thus, I thought that it was all in good fun, and so did everyone else, because nobody could be insane enough to think that imaginary characters interacting automatically meant the DM wanted to bone them.
Oh.
Right? Anyway, getting ahead of myself a little bit there. There were some red flags, minor ones by the standards of this subreddit to be sure. These included highlights such as Trish being a little obsessive about anime and talking about her perfect man being an exact description of some protagonist from a particular anime, the name of which I don't remember, and the way in which she described her tabaxi, complete with big innocent doe eyes and playful curves and swaying hips. She also showed up wearing fox ears at one point. I thought she was just really getting into the game and playing into her character, which, in a really disturbing sort of way, was right on the money.
Huh?
Oh shit. Hold on, I just...
Oh yeah, bring it back,
Yeah,
you're good.
Exactly was that. I also just want to say how ironic it would be, like, as a DM too, when you see a player getting into a character like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, do that.
Yeah,
And then,
right. So hey, players out there, if you're gonna have a character and you're gonna describe all that shit, make sure that you've talked to your DM beforehand about like your character and shit. Please, because I'm okay with you describing that your character is sexually attractive. Sure, that's fine. If you're gonna describe her that way, that's fine. It's just one of those things you gotta warn me beforehand, my dude.
Yeah,
Please.
it would... Essentially, this is the difference between... If your character has a sexual encounter, this is the difference between going into full detail about each and every thrust and just saying, you hook up tonight.
I was gonna say, fade to black.
Yeah.
Empowerment is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Objectification is another.
And like, objectification is another, and like, what was I saying? Empowerment is one thing, and just being weird and awkward is another.
Yeah. Have some self-awareness, please, if you're gonna be doing something like this.
Most people, when they first imagine D&D and they hear that it's a role play game, some of them may assume bad things.
I don't.
And like, but you're. Oh, I've seen a couple.
Well, I mean, like, if you're thinking ERP, that's different.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone who listens to our podcast knows that.
I fucking hope so.
Yeah.
If not, like, Bud, I'm sorry for blue balling you.
There's
for
a little,
7 episodes.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. But
you're in the wrong place, Bud.
Yeah.
And those 23 views count to 0.
Pulling my shirt collar.
Don't pull it too low.
Oh, well, it's a good thing my camera isn't on.
But one that stands out from the rest in this little retrospective. And so, dear reader, begins the fate.
Wait, I think
we missed something.
way ahead here.
Oh, there we go. That was it.
Yeah, it's like,
perfect man being an exact description of some protagonist from a particular anime, the name of which I don't remember, and the way in which she described her.
By the way, what the fuck does playful curves mean?
You could play with them, I guess.
She also
it makes any sense.
I don't know, man.
Like if they know they have them and as such use them to their advantage, I guess.
I guess.
What's the definition of playful? Here we go.
Playful.
Okay, he's got it. Yeah, please.
I wouldn't say playful. I would say graceful.
Well, but my the first 3 results I get are discover entropy and the second law of thermodynamics. Granted, as a man of science, this may have been Google tailoring ad results.
I was gonna say yes.
Unfortunately, though, the second one is Wheel Estate: The Rise and Decline of Mobile Homes.
Hey, you thinking of?
Which is definitely not tailored to me.
Thank you,
and the
Google.
third one is the playfulness of Gerard Manley Hopkins.
I don't.
skip over that one.
I don't know. That one. I wonder. Does that one?
If you want to look at that
Google.
one up, you can do so.
Well, Google's assuming a few things for you, aren't they?
It's not assuming anything about me.
So
You can't
yeah.
prove anything.
Jesus Christ. Let's keep going. We're only 4 minutes in. We still got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Jesus, you're right.
Point. I thought she was just really getting into the game and playing into her character, which, in a really disturbing sort of way, was right on the money. She also had a weird habit of maintaining eye contact with me for uncomfortably long periods of time. But I, with my IRL dump stat and wisdom, didn't put it together that she might have a crush on me, in case where this story is leading wasn't horrifyingly obvious. I was enjoying the group and the immersion. Everyone spent a lot of time talking in character and really getting into it, including Dave and Annie, who had been a little hesitant about RP at first. Trish spent almost no time whatsoever talking out of character. Another mild red flag that I overlooked entirely, but one that stands out from the rest in this little retrospective. And so, dear reader, begins the fateful night. Note that Dave, my roommate, was not present for this session, for the night is dark and full of fox-eared discomfort. It was an RP-heavy session. The previous had been a sizable combat session with one of the villains, and a small side story arc had been completed. So there was a lot of looting, paying off debts and favors, collecting accolades, drinking in bars, being paraded around on the shoulders of the liberated village, all the normal tropes. This also coincided with the end of our second year exam period, so we were IRL in a similar mood.
Cool.
Everyone was having a great time in a low-pressure session, drinking a decent amount both IRL and in-game. Everyone was smiling and having fun. Trish's character decided that tonight was the night to try and get it on with the burly human bartender NPC she had been flirting with throughout the campaign. Whenever they had...
I wonder why, because he's a rugby player who's bit
and
bigger,
the semester is ending,
and the semester's ending.
been in this town. Again, I only picked this up in retrospect, but this was the NPC who most closely,
this literally
not even that closely, resembled me in how I had described them.
Of course.
And she had singled this NPC out repeatedly. Anyway, in the revelry of the villain's defeat and the town celebration, she succeeded on her seduction role for this poor bartender. I made a joke about them going off to have very scratchy cat sex.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
His back bandage and
attempted to fade to black, like
he
should have.
She wanted to vicariously play out this encounter between these two abstractions in a display that would have made Sigmund Freud himself make the concerned Tom face. She interjected, describing how her character waited for him to go and get her drinks before taking off all of her clothes, changing into just one of his thin shirts and waiting on his bed in a seductive pose, and began to purr.
Yeah, this is exactly what I said before. You fade to black if the player does this, shut them the fuck up.
Exactly.
And having had players who have attempted to bypass the fade to black, give them a cursory little bit more like detail. Of course, tread the line of uncomfortability, like do not cross that.
I mean,
very careful that you don't. But if you want to get, and this will of course depend wildly on how well you know your table.
Yes.
And what they're okay with.
Yes.
Definitely. Stay where in the realm of like everyone's uncomfortable, and if they're really being problematic and they really want a couple extra like bits of detail, you can give that detail, but don't cross that line. And I just want to say the DM did an incredible job of doing that. He leaves, and then
we'll get there, obviously. But yes, please just
players don't do this,
please don't. Oh my god,
we hate it. We fucking hate it when you do this shit.
It's especially if this isn't this, you faded to black, especially then, right?
Because then that shows that this is fully intentional.
Exactly.
And you're saying, nope, me and everyone else at this table is going to sit through this.
Yeah, need to know exactly how my character has sex. Like to be fair, I will if it's happening during something that's happening, right? Like this is what they're doing. I'll cut back to it and be like, yeah, you're having sex, right? Like it's not anything. You're just still doing it.
Yeah. Honestly, the only time you should ever go.
Oh yeah, player gets a constitution, right? Yeah. See how long they last. No, you predetermine that shit.
The only time I would ever go into any sort of detail here is if the character that they are sleeping with is an incubus or a succubus.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Because then you have to describe that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
That's
whole
the
thing.
only time.
And then, like, I mean, the other the other
and
option.
Even then, you do not need to know about the dimples on the ass cheek.
Of course,
you really don't.
The other, of course, the other option is if it's not a succubus, but it's just like something happens during that interrupts it. Right?
Yeah, like
you have to come back to that point because something happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say the most generous, I guess you could say, I would go with something like this.
Yeah.
Is if it has been something that has been led up to for a long time.
Okay.
Like this is part of that character's arc, and even then, I'm not going to like describe it out in vivid detail.
Yeah.
I will, instead of straight up attempting a fade to black, I will give one or two details.
Sure.
And then be like, hey, good for you, give them a thumbs up, and then we go back to the rest of the party.
Right, yeah.
If it's like an important character, like God, honestly, this is so I'm having so much frustration doing this podcast lately because I have so many things that I want to talk about that are related to this that are in my campaigns that aren't running yet. And I'm like, God damn it! I have so many good examples, but I can't say anything.
I understand.
As someone for whom his campaign has none of you guys, it's wonderful.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, like what you said, if you've been building up to it for a very long time, if you've had to go on a quest, maybe save somebody, and then like obviously that's not the whole reason, but if if the characters are falling in love,
I don't know,
and then they finally make it.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I fear not getting that nut.
It's true. I fear November so much.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, if it's been built up to, if it is a very, very important moment and not just the bard being like, hey, that's a hot bartender.
Right, exactly.
I want to get with her,
Yeah. Which you don't have to do, by the way, bards. You don't have to.
You really don't.
It's not like you can every now and again. Absolutely.
God, it's so annoying.
I came up with the other night, I think my favorite idea for a bard I ever have made.
A celibate bard?
Yes, but not necessarily by choice.
Oh.
And no, not an incel. I already hear people typing.
No. I fucking hope not.
Eunuch?
It was a lore master bard rogue who's a bookworm. And he has roguish skills because he's used to sneaking into libraries where he was not allowed so that he could steal books and read them.
Yeah.
And then potentially working that into I happen to have a huge interest. I think demonology is super rad.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe make him into a necromancer somewhere in the future, but have him be haunted by all the knowledge he knows. Maybe Alips come to start like hunting him and stuff like that. It's something that the DM can absolutely just fill with hooks.
Yeah. Phil. And we're talking about sex.
No.
Okay.
Okay, a little too much detail, and she has a creepy, lascivious look in her eyes while she describes it, but fine. She's had a couple of drinks and is a bit too into it.
Yeah, there you go.
I once again try with, and as he sees you, he shuts the door behind himself with a smile. Anyway, back in the bar, Clupperduck is in the midst of his absurd levitating
10 out of 10 dismount
when Trish again interjects, pouting a little this time. She describes how
Oh,
her
God.
character stares into his green eyes. My eyes are green. The NPC was described as having blue eyes. And runs her clawed fingers through his brown hair. Again, you guessed it, matches description with me and not the NPC.
So
she is now positively leering at me like I'm a cartoon steak. Rich catches onto this and looks as uncomfortable as I feel. Annie is giggling. I assume this was just nervous laughter. Not so. I quite firmly cut to black this time, but Trish looks oddly satisfied and spends the rest of the session, which lasts less than half an hour, just staring at me and exchanging looks with Annie.
Oh, it was fucking planned?
Oh, Jesus.
No, please don't let me. No. Okay.
Oh, God.
Secondly, just that's not acceptable behavior. Quite literally, just take her aside and say, "Dude, if you want to fuck, that's a different question. You just come up to me and say you want to fuck." Right?
Yeah,
like
right.
that's an out of game, not at the table thing.
I don't do pretense. Subtext is for cowards.
Like, just all right. Oh, God.
At the end of the session, I'm sat with the three of them, finishing drinks before they all head home. Trish asks to use the bathroom and excuses herself. Annie then gets up and declares that she's going home and asks if poor, innocent, bystander Rich will walk her across campus. They abruptly leave. I wait for Trish to come out of my room for 5 minutes.
No.
At this point, I'm like, if she's taking a dump in there, that's an absolute piss take. Just wait until you get home. So I walk into my room, preparing to knock down the bathroom door, and what do I fucking see? I see Trish, and what, dear reader, do you expect that she's wearing? Yep, that's right. There's a pile of her clothes and underwear at the foot of my bed, and her sole items of clothing are one of my t-shirts and her fucking fox ears, lying in what she apparently thought a seductive pose was supposed to look like. If the only time you had heard the word seduction was in Japanese and the sentence ended with senpai. And as if this scene wasn't absurd and insane enough, she also fucking purrs at me before giving me this look, which basically amounted to her stuffing as much of her bottom lip under her teeth as is reasonably possible in what appeared to be an attempt to devour her own chin, and blinking rapidly like she was trying to convey something in more scope.
You can't deny he has a way with words.
He does, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's like an amazing description.
It's a great description. I'm glad you're a DM.
I don't know about you all, but I can see it.
Yeah,
I hate it, but I can see it.
I can see it. I'm glad you're a DM because you'd be very descriptive, and that's good.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact that she says something to him, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but he responds with literally my exact first thought.
Cool.
Okay, don't spoil it. I want to hear it.
This is veering so out of RPG and now going into just being a person. Don't be a person like this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're not even like with the person, and you're already like.
But that will be discussed later.
Okay, thank fuck.
Now, Trish is not an unattractive woman by any means,
Of course.
even in the midst of a mating ritual considerably more bizarre than anything I've ever heard Dr. David Attenborough narrate, but I am absolutely not into her whatsoever. I do not see her in that way, and honestly, I find her a bit weird. Shocking, I know. This should be a good enough reason on its own, but what takes this from just uncomfortable and awkward to shockingly inappropriate is that, at this time, I had a girlfriend, which she and everyone else at the table knew. At this point, I'm standing in the doorway, probably looking like I've seen a fucking ghost, and my brain is turned to mush trying to decipher the incomprehensible spectacle unfolding before my eyes. She then stops me, throating her chin, and says,
"If you want your t-shirt back, you'll have to take it off me."
What the
I'm now legitimately pissed off with her for this level of inappropriate behavior. I tell her, as calmly as possible, that she can keep the t-shirt, but she needs to leave. She scowls at me, and I truly wish I was joking, hisses at me like a cat. Despite how deeply uncomfortable I am, it is an act of sheer, abject absurdity that I cannot help but burst out laughing.
Yeah.
She immediately loses her grabs her clothes in a bundle, and ran outside of my flat in just my t-shirt, not stopping to even put on underwear, screaming at me the whole way. Apparently, either Annie or Rich has forgotten something, so they're about 100 meters away, walking back towards the flats. They and everyone else around see this 2/3 naked cat fox woman throwing a hyper tantrum over getting rejected, creating an utter spectacle in the quad, which is overlooked by several blocks of halls. Not to mention other students who just happen to be outside. I would have been mortified if I wasn't too busy being somewhere between utter speechless disbelief and repressing uncontrolled mirth. Annie runs over and throws her coat over the now hysterically crying Trish and then starts to berate me herself, calling me selfish and ungrateful and telling me how Trish is better for me than my then girlfriend.
Yeah, fuck off.
Wow.
Yeah. The fact that not only were you aware of this, but that you were taking her side in being a homewrecker is scummy.
That is such utter shit.
Yeah, wow. Let's just keep it going.
I'm in utter shock and disbelief at this point. This is totally out of character for Annie. Now knowing what to do in the midst of this bizarre and mutually humiliating meltdown, I just give an apologetic wave and a grimace to Rich, go inside and close the door. I call Dave and fill him in on whatever the fuck just happened. He's as baffled, shocked, and angry as I am, especially after I describe Annie's reaction. He calls her and demands to know what the fuck is going on. As it turns out, Trish and Annie had concocted the events of the evening together. Annie had informed Trish that Dave would not be present, making it a good night to make her move, and Trish had apparently described the rest of her cringe-inducingly misguided plan. This is also why Annie was giggling at Trish's in-character shenanigans earlier that night, and why she had so abruptly convinced Rich to leave with her when Trish had asked to use my bathroom. This, it seems, was the signal. Dave called me almost 2 hours later, which was almost 4 a.m. by this point, and said that he had a huge argument and shouting match with Annie over the phone and that they had broken up. I received a text from Rich the next day saying that he didn't want to play with us anymore because he couldn't handle the drama. Although I explained to him that Trish would absolutely not be there again, I couldn't really begrudge his decision to leave with such a sour taste in his mouth. I blocked Trish's number almost immediately after she left, and the only correspondence I had with Annie was a text from her that just said, before I blocked her too.
Wow.
Dave and I never played D&D together again.
Oh, dude,
to this day.
that sucks.
So that's it, Reddit. That's my one and
That
what the
sucks.
Fuck?
So, yeah,
ladies,
that's
ladies,
kind of...
Ladies.
And gentlemen.
Don't.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
just don't.
Gentlemen.
Well, everyone really in the fucking world.
Yeah, this is not acceptable.
This goes so far beyond the game. Don't be a piece of shit.
That's you ruined both the group and the fucking
And this is why I kind of wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
As one of our videos, because it also shows the issues that can arise from a group as a whole when one person is shitty like this, because it will poison the game for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think the real villain here is definitely Annie, and I think that the real victim here, OP, is definitely one. But I also find it depressing that this one person's first foray into D&D is Keith, was it? Rich, sorry. And this is what happens to him, and that has now probably spoiled TTRPGs for him in general.
Yeah, Jesus.
Wow.
You know what? I think the moral of the story here is if you're playing D&D, be a fat fuck. Don't be attractive. Don't be a dude, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
A couch potato.
You have to be the stereotype.
Yes. Be a beardy boy.
D&D is only for beardy boys in a basement. We've gone full circle.
Yes.
I just
Yeah, no, this is
that's just gross,
it leaves
man.
a bitter taste, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Cause it legitimately, if somebody ruined a fucking group like that, doing shit like that to me, oh my god,
I'd be so pissed.
I'd be fucking livid, dude. like, that's just so unacceptable beyond, like, for every reason.
Yep.
Especially when they've already known.
Yeah.
They already know that he's with someone, dude.
Right. Yeah. This is not an example of something just happening to go wrong and ruining the experience.
This is
was
planning.
an assassination.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were multiple steps and decisions that led to this point.
Oh my god.
Of assholery.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. This wasn't exactly chaotic neutral. This was lawful evil.
This was lawful evil, yeah.
Lawful evil, absolutely. Something that would have helped is fucking session 0, my dude. Talk to your player beforehand. Absolutely, yes.
Well, I don't know if that would have helped.
Yeah,
I think
crazy's crazy.
Yes, I agree, but I think honestly, when you talk to Crazy one-on-one, you'd notice Crazy.
But I mean, the whole reason why I don't know if Annie.
I think they needed a session 76.5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
wonder if they tried to do this on session 69.
Hey.
Yeah. But I don't know, because like it was planned even from the get-go, because she invited Trish. Annie invited Trish even before the game had started.
It is true.
What I find so interesting too is the fact that they literally waited for OP's friend Dave to be gone.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Why?
Because Dave and OP were roommates.
Oh,
and Dave would have had his back.
Yeah.
And because
okay.
And because Dave was Annie's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Although, like,
so
that
he would have probably tried to stop
that kind of behavior is something that's so out of left field that I just, like, for Annie, right? Like, who you wouldn't think that anybody would fucking be like that. And then
and not only that, but also the fact that she takes personal offense at OP not cheating on his girlfriend.
It's so weird. I don't get it.
I understand being upset at someone for hurting your friend's feelings.
Sure.
I've done it fucking multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's something that, in fact, if someone is my friend and someone upsets my friend, I will absolutely take my friend's side usually.
Oh, sure.
However, that does not extend to when my friend is fucking around.
Yeah.
So like, what?
Yeah.
The Herculean leaps of logic.
Exactly. It's not rational.
It's really not.
Incredibly irrational. And I don't understand how somebody can justify that.
I wonder if Trish is still single.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, do you look like a rugby player? Cause
nope.
Dude, Sam.
Fucking better get hitting the gym, boy.
Yeah, right.
I'll just go watch your dumbbells weigh. I'll be good.
It doesn't matter how much I hit the gym. My height already fucking rules me out, my dude. Hey. Anyway.
Yeah. You're not short.
No, dude.
You are by no means tall.
Yes.
But you're not short.
You're right. I am average. Well, depends. To be fair, and also, like, in present culture, no, I'm short. So, yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, let's do something a little bit more fun.
Please, yes.
And ridiculous.
I would like something more ridiculous. This is the goof off after we have some good content episode. Yeah.
All right.
Give me but one moment.
Sure.
I'm going to make a cursory trip to the bathroom. Hold the fort while I'm gone.
Okay.
Easily.
I can't hold this fort. It's too heavy.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
What the fuck, man?
I don't know, man.
It's like a situation out of a fucking porno, a really shitty one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, in a fucking porno, it probably would have gone through, right? Like,
yeah, it's true.
I just like, and then the girlfriend would have come back, and then they would have had a
threesome.
And then threesome. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Come on. But no, it's just the people, man. Yeah, people are fucking strange.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm a well-adjusted human.
there are days where I also am like, yes, I am glad that I am me.
Yeah.
This is one of those times.
Right.
One of those rare times.
Yeah. It's like, glad I'm a person who grew up all alone, learning right and wrong on the fucking internet.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh my god.
It's very
That sounds fucking weird, but it's true.
right. It's the weirdest thing how some things influence people. It's just
Yeah.
some people
just fucking turn out wrong.
So...
It happens. My sister's one of them.
There you go.
Oh man.
All right,
I
so
don't care. She's never gonna hear this.
okay.
One of the things that was really, really funny was recently I learned that both my sister and her husband are anti-vaxxers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And they have 2 daughters.
Oh.
And
no.
Their dog got sick.
Oh.
From a preventable disease.
Oh.
And one time when I don't remember even what the conversation was, but we were talking about some stupid shit she had done.
Yeah.
And I literally turned to my dad and I said, "What the hell happened with her?" Yeah. And he said, "I have no idea."
There you go.
It was so great.
Nice.
Okay. So
is the fort secure?
The fort is secure, sir.
Yeah. I dropped it, but it's back in the same spot.
Yeah, it's true.
I knew I would be fine leaving the fort to the swole boys.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, just post the link in the chat there. And
I already did.
Oh, cool.
So this one is actually slightly shorter. It's 7 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wait, you did?
Here we go.
Where is it?
Because I have an hour.
Right.
Oh,
here.
cool. Yeah.
Welcome once again, boys and girls, to a mesmerizing magical lecture on how to get the most power out of your D&D
I think I watched
character.
one video from this
I
person.
am Acumen, and today we will be answering the question.
Yeah, this seems familiar.
What is the most...
Now, one
yeah.
One quick thing about this is that the whole video, the whole concept of the video hinges on a homebrew artifact.
Yeah. Okay.
It is an artifact that is established, but it is homebrew.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think I've watched this video.
Do with a cantrip spell. Dealing maximum damage won't be easy to accomplish and will require a great many resources. But if we are able to succeed, no foe will be able to stand against you. In order to achieve the maximum cantrip damage, we will need to acquire the following: a +3 longbow, bracers of archery, 4 ebon fly figures of wondrous power.
Yeah, okay,
yep. Okay.
I've definitely seen this.
Yeah, okay.
A handful of arrows, and the legendary swine soul siphon.
That's the homebrew artifact.
Yeah, I can tell.
We must choose which classes we will take in order to optimize for maximum damage.
What?
First, 5 levels of ranger. Choosing beasts is our favorite enemy. 5 levels grants us archery style, horde breaker, and extra attack, which will allow us to spam our attacks more effectively. Spam our attacks. Next, we will take 3 levels of paladin, a lawful good knight, in order to gain divine health, allowing us to be immune to the diseases of the bovines. 10 levels in evocation school wizard allows us to add our intelligence bonus to our...
Wait,
This is so great.
Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah.
Why is he saying bovine?
I noticed that. I think it was just a
Oh my
mistake.
god, wait.
Bovine is for cows.
Yeah.
Porcine is for pigs.
It might just be because the whole thing's a joke. Let's be honest.
The whole thing is a joke.
Like it's a joke.
It's amazing.
But that just I just had a brain blast.
You just were wait a minute, did I just hear fucking bovine?
Insight was gained.
Yeah. Fucking madman's knowledge, dude.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Our cantrip damage, boosting the total even higher. The cornerstone of this build is 1 level into the Mystic class.
Oh my
The immortal
god, Mystic.
Through a body discipline enables us to forego the need to eat, breathe, or sleep.
Fucking Mystic is so bad. Oh, UA.
Lastly, we will take 1 level in Bard to allow us to distract ourselves with pleasant stories. Because this is going to take long as you can sing the songs of the greatest songstress of all, Bjork. With our classes in place, we must next acquire the supplies we will use to bring home the bacon. First, though, let's learn more about our flavored enemy. A boar has 11 hit points and 11 armor class. It can charge its foe and attack with its tusks. It also has the relentless trait, which means it will be much harder to kill. How can we deal with such a porkiful creature? With our enchanted bow and bracers, maximum dexterity, and archery style, we will have a bonus of plus 18 to our attack rolls.
Nice.
We will not be able to miss hitting a boar unless we roll a natural 1, which we can cancel out as a halfling sometimes, which equates to a 97.8% accuracy rating. Each arrow will deal 1d8 plus 10 damage, an average of 14 1/2 damage, more than enough to slay a boar in a single shot.
The way he's fucking talking.
I know. I love his fucking in-character voice the whole way through. It's great.
Require at least 2 arrows in order to slay it. Accounting for the 5% mischance, we should allocate 3 arrows per boar. To reach the maximum amount of swine souls the swine soul siphoner is able to acquire, we will need 196,020,855 arrows. How are we supposed to carry so many? Simple. Bags of holding.
Of course.
A bag of holding can hold up to 500 pounds.
Of course.
20 arrows weigh 1 pound, and a quiver to hold them.
So I just want to say though,
yeah,
I adore the fact that so much of this class or this idea, I don't even feel comfortable calling it a class.
I was gonna say no.
So much of this thought experiment is hinged solely upon not going back and forth from town.
Yeah.
So much setup.
Yeah.
I'm going and I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back until I'm done.
It's like Goku in the fucking time chamber.
I was gonna say, this is fucking WoW, dude. You just go out and you don't come back until you're done.
Funny thing you should mention WoW.
Oh no.
That's where the Soul Siphoner came from.
Really?
That is a reference to the South Park episode where they do WoW, and they were like, oh, we can't go anywhere because this most powerful guy is killing everybody. We'll just have to grind to max level on boars. How many will it take?
That's
and
great.
It's the number of the thing.
Oh.
If I recall correctly, doesn't this video also go into like how they would get so many boars?
Yes, it does.
God.
Okay,
yeah, everything is covered.
Oh, good. I will say, thoroughly researched, my dude.
From another 1 pound, this means that a bag of holding can contain up to 5,000 arrows. We simply need to acquire 39,205 bags of holding.
As one does.
What a task.
I love that. Hang on.
Yeah.
Easily done much.
Additionally, we need to find a way to avoid the charge attack.
Oh, this is great too.
It will get quite distracting to our efforts. This is where the 4 ebony fly figures of wondrous power come into play. Boars are used to having flies buzz around them, so they will likely ignore you and you'll be flying. Why 4? It can only be ridden for up to 12 hours and then must rest for 2 days. With 4, we can have unlimited flying. Now that we have our weapons and supplies, we will need to locate a large supply of boars. Hey, here they are. A portal to the plane of boars and pigs. Portal. Bordle.
Portal.
Portal.
We'll have
There
to.
you go.
Boars emerge from the portal at regular intervals.
Of course
We
they
will
do.
be able to kill an average of 2 boars every 12 seconds, 10 boars a minute, 600 an hour, 14,400 per day, and 5,256,000 a year. After 12 and 4400th years of non-stop pork puncturing, you will be a prosciutto professional, and the swine sword siphon will be full. It won't be boring, I promise. You can tusk me. Now, as long as we're attuned to the artifact, our cantrips will deal an additional 65,340,285 damage. If we combine this effect with the 10th level wizard ability that we have empowered evocation and assume a 20 intelligence, we can add an additional 5 damage, bringing our total boost to cantrips to 65,340,290.
Oh my god.
Applying this to a firebolt cantrip, our average would be 65,340,312 damage. So, can we now answer our question? What is the most damage that we can do casting only a cantrip? We can. If you use the Swine Soul Siphoner, the most damage you can do with a cantrip is 65,340,312 damage. That sure smokes my sausage.
Thank you.
I love that shit.
Thank you, Dawn Forged Cast, for the ultimate cantrip.
Yep.
Over 65 million damage. Thank you so much. It's the perfect amount of levity I needed after such a horrible, horrible thing.
Right?
Watching a horrible... That's just something horrible unfold before my eyes.
Oh, man. I wish he did more of those videos, but he doesn't seem to do them anymore.
Yeah, I remember I watched like one that was a serious video, I think it was. So I know of the channel, but I didn't I didn't know of the power that was within. I
didn't know of acumen.
I did not. I'll be honest. That's good. That's very good. Yeah, that's well, go subscribe to that.
Yep.
That's not, unfortunately, not an accurate representation of his channel, but maybe we'll have something on there from at some point.
I've never actually, I don't remember exactly what they're doing. I think he does a lot of actual campaigns.
I think it's
is it lore?
Don't remember.
Because I want to say he has like 2 campaigns.
Check.
I think so, anyway.
He is... Let's see. I've got Dungeons and Dragons players need to stop saying this. Ooh.
Oh, boy.
2 amazing new barbarian and monk archetypes for Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
I'm starting to feel some fear.
I'm also RPG consent form triggered snowflake nonsense.
I've heard of that one. Basically, it is there was a trend that people tried to get going for a while.
Okay.
Wherein, before you sign up for a campaign, you should hand out consent forms to your players.
So fucking stupid.
In order to cover your ass for anything that they may encounter which may trigger them.
Fuck you.
Unnecessary, of course, because,
Right.
That's what Session 0 and establishing expectations with clear and open lines of communications between you and your players is for.
Exactly.
As well as reading the player's handbook.
Yes. Fucking overpowered backstories in Dungeons and Dragons, Freaks and Horrors, new sorcerer and warlock. Oh, this is Unearthed Arcana review. Ooh. How to tell your players you are nerfing them.
Most broken spell in Dungeons and Dragons 5e. Also, that's stupid. I just straight up tell them, "Hey guys, I've viewed the book a bit more, and I have concerns for this, and this. Sorry, but you're getting a nerf this patch.
No, you don't understand. It takes you 14 minutes to do that.
Oh,
15 minutes almost.
Is 9 of them intro and then a 1-minute ad for Arknights, the new game hitting the
Shut
App
up!
Store,
Ah!
and then 3.5 of thanking patrons.
Yeah.
Probably.
How to nerf in Dungeons and Dragons.
It looks like something we could get some material out of.
We actually, yeah, okay, well, hey.
And then if it's super bad, well, if it's super ragey, we can have another Acumen video to cleanse the palate afterwards.
Something. Alright, let me just switch over to the TableTalk. There we go. Subscribe to him for later. Cool.
On an unrelated note, you can play as the Gith in Baldur's Gate 3, which is pretty sweet.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
yeah, I can't tell if it's Gith Zerai or the Gith Yankee, but it's one of them.
I would wonder because the Gith Yankee are all about fucking pillaging, right?
Yeah.
And the Gith Zerai are just like, hey.
Okay, then it's probably the Gith Zerai.
Yeah, they're more like monks, and then they're like, hey, Gith Yankee, could you fuck off?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Actually, in this,
and then
like,
the Gith
I'm not
Yankee
even
are like, no, you.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not even watching the video, but like, you know how when you hover over a YouTube video, it animates.
It does
for
the
a little
animation
bit?
for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a quarterstaff on her back, so it's probably.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is cool because I think that the Gith Zerai are a lot cooler.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Honestly, I just want to become a mind flayer in that game.
I can't wait for it. Honestly, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be really good.
See, now Alejo, that's a game that we need to play together.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's already on my wish list. I'm getting.
Yeah, it's on my wish list too. Yeah.
And we also need to finish Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah, you're right. We do need to do that.
Either that, or we just need to restart a 3-person campaign because Brogan never has time to play anything.
Yeah, it's true. It's really sad.
Anyway, are we done? Because now we're completely off topic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not too off topic. It's a little on topic-ish. But yeah, I think that's probably, unfortunately, where we're going to end it today. Your closing thoughts there, Boo.
Find that swine soul siphoner, man. And it's really, really easy to get 50,000 bags of holding. You just...
Yeah.
I did it myself.
I can tell you, it's easy with these 3 steps.
Yeah.
Pay $29.99 and I'll tell you how.
Step 1, obtain a bag of holding.
Yep.
Step 2, obtain 4,999 bags of holding.
Step 3, profit.
Arknights.
Oh, God.
That's 2 ways of pronouncing the same word, my guy.
Shut up. Your closing thoughts, fucker.
I would say, thank you to all of our continued listeners and or viewers.
Yes.
Thank you, Dawnforged Cast, Crit Crab, and XP to level 3 and Runesmith.
Mm-hmm.
For any prospective players out there, just don't be a shit.
Please.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Read your player's handbook.
Hey.
Drink 8 servings of water a day.
Also,
wash your fucking hands.
Also, yes, please do.
Yeah. And don't forget. Sorry, I don't mean to interject. And don't forget those magic words for how to make your characters more fleshed out.
Yes.
Where am I? Current goal, what they're motivated by, how they reach their goal, and what is in the way of their goal, and then potentially add on backstory.
Backstory. What?
No. I'm just fear.
Burden me with lore, right?
Do not burden me with lore.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day, actually.
Yeah. So yes, please read the player's handbook. Remember to, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're not watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're listening to us on whatever podcast platform that you choose, please leave us a follow and a nice review. If you want to interact with us,
more importantly, an honest one.
Yes, an honest review, please.
But
Absolutely.
an honest one will be nice.
Yes,
because we're right on this podcast.
Exactly. And if you want to interact with us more directly, remember that you can obviously leave a comment on the videos, or you can tweet at the Twitter account TableTalk D&D. That'll be linked in the description.
I will fight any one of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll watch.
Yeah, and other than that, I mean, just have a nice day and don't be a shit.
Have a grand old time.
Yeah.
Stay happy, stay healthy. If you're not happy, I hope you get happy soon. And don't sexually assault your DM.
God, no, please don't.
Don't do drugs. Drugs bad.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye.